Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Welcome one and all to John and Mike's MMA Corner.
MMA from a different angle.
And before we kick off with obviously our usual saga of laughter and seriousness, professionalism, we're going to start by asking you all to jump onto Facebook, Twitter, the lot really, the social networking sites, and give some of our esteemed colleagues a follow, because their hard work really helps not only us and yourselves but just MMA grow. So first up we have MMA Scotland. We'd like you to also jump onto UFC Wreckage on Facebook. Their Twitter handle and their website is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
Jump on to Facebook to Fighting and MMA.
We also have on Facebook and Twitter The Real MMA Talk.
And last but not least, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. Can't miss them. If you like a giggle, you like a laugh, jump onto Funny MMA, kind of putting a light-hearted view on the aspects of MMA and the goings-ons.
I thought it was serious.
Exactly. So that's what you want to jump onto. Now what we're going to do is jump straight in to this week's edition. Ladies and gentlemen, this week I have got an absolutely ram-packed podcast for you, stacked with guests. Again, Mike's away with his basically having a nice long extended holidays. He's having a joyous time. I did talk to him recently. He said he doesn't miss any of you. But anyway, let's move on. I'm going to start by telling you who's going to be on. We have got, like I say, stacked podcast. I've got Anthony Gutierrez, Benny Vinson, these two dudes taking each other on. I got them to come on and have a chat. Also Zak Bucia and Jason Novelli, two guys as well thrown down with each other. They're both four of those guys are on the Titan FC card coming up. From the Shamrock FC card coming up this weekend, you have Zach Gerullis and Bo Kunz, and then we also have Darryl Cobb. So that's three guys there from that card. On another card, I have Sean Carter from the UK fighting on the BCMMA card. He's fighting thrown down against Aldric Cassata. I couldn't get Aldric, but I got Sean on. And to finish off, do you know how we do the roundup, or we talk about current events, so to speak. I got an established guest in Chuck Mindenhall. He's a writer for SBN Nation, MMAfighting.com, and also he is one of the quartet, let's say, for the MMA Beat. So I'm going to start off with, firstly, I'm going to put 4 guests on, alright? So I'm going to put Anthony Gutierrez and Benny Vinson, Zak Bucia and Jason Novelli, okay? So I'm going to stick on all 4 of them for you. They're going to go on talking about their fights coming up on this Titan FC card that will be going down on the 4th of March. Okay, so here is Anthony, Benny, Zach and Jason. Shark Baits, Anthony Gutierrez, join me now. Thank you very much for talking to me. It's always great to have you on. You're taking on Benny Vinson on March the 4th at Titan FC 37. But before all that, you were a bit vocal about the last event getting cancelled, weren't you?
Yes, I was. The thing with that was I knew, like, that fight, everyone had been training so hard, and we had a lot of guys on the card around me that were on that card, and everyone was already ready at that point. We were about 8 days away from the fight, 9 days, and so when it got ripped out from under us, we, after about a week, I think going on 2 weeks of kind of being quiet about the situation, we started realizing that we weren't going to get paid. So I think that's when somebody needed to step up and get really vocal. And so I kind of did that, but in a group chat, it was me and a bunch of fighters, and sure enough, Titan did end up coming through, and they gave 25% of the show money, which for me, I mean, I get paid a decent amount, like more than the average guy on Titan, and so for me, it was better than nothing, but for some guys, it was kind of nothing. So, but I definitely really appreciated the gesture. Like technically they didn't have to do anything, because in the contracts, it actually does state that, like they can cancel a show at any time in the contract. So like they didn't have to pay us anything. So the fact that they did, that's a really nice gesture. So some guys are happy, some guys aren't, but it's whatever. It's in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that maybe because of that happening, that in the future the contracts, they may look to implement not just Titan, but I think future promotions should maybe look to implement something like a compensation package? Because at the end of the day, if you're training your ass off for like say 8 weeks and it falls through in the week of, that's 7 weeks of money. You're out of pocket, and you know a little compensation will help out.
Dude, you know what's even crazier is like, so the fight was in Kansas City, so I didn't have this problem, but like Brian Camosi was on the card. He's from Colorado, and he had already bought his mom and dad 2 plane tickets to come out to Kansas City because the fight's already 9 days away or 8 days away or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so the guys had bought plane tickets and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of guys didn't even get compensated like enough to even pay for those plane tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a really unfortunate situation. You know, I don't think like the UFC or Bellator or whatever have to write that in their contracts because I don't think they're ever going to cancel.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it could be a new thing for like more of the regional promotions to start doing that.
Yeah, I think they should have like a kind of form of compensation. It doesn't have to be like say 25% is 25. You know, it's better than a kick in the bollocks. So I think it's something that maybe promotions might look into in the future. But yeah, we'll go to the present. Your fight coming up. Now you need to. You're knowing yourself. You need to now nail some consistency in your wins. You know, you need to start because at the moment you've been a bit stop-start. Now for you. What do you feel it is that's you're just missing that almost that little bit? You're not far off because you know what, that was a hell of a fight against Brett. Austin Lyons' fight was awesome. You know, your performances are absolutely they're absolutely dead on. So it's not like there's a lot missing. Do you know if you were going in there and getting absolutely mollywopped in the first 10 seconds, I go, yeah, you need to learn how to fight. But it's not that. That's not the issue.
Yeah, it's just like consistency and like fixing little things, like in the Wallow Watson fight, obviously, what happened in there, that kind of sucked because I was dominating the whole thing, and I was able to stay out of, any danger against Austin Lyons. And then Brett Johns, there was a couple of exchanges and scrambles there that I would have done a lot differently, and the pace, and just a whole bunch of other variables, but really, I think I'm right there. I consider Brett Johns and Wallow Watson and those guys, I consider them some of the better bantamweights out there, and I'm obviously competing with them and doing well, and I don't think I'm far off of stepping to another level as far as beating those guys. I haven't stopped training and stopped doing what I've kind of set out to do, and so I keep getting better. And so if 6 months ago in July or whatever, however long ago in July, if I'm able to compete competitively with Brett Johns, then I've kept growing since then, and so I'm just excited to see where I'm at in this next fight. I did win after Brett Johns, but that guy I don't think he wasn't too tough of a guy. It was a pretty quick victory, but
yeah,
I'm looking to test myself against a tougher opponent.
Was it Corey Ortiz? Wasn't it the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the fight, like you said, I was hoping you were going to get matched up with Wally again for this card. Is there a reason why that didn't happen?
He had an injury.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was supposed to be me and Wallow Watson for December 8th, for the December 18th, and then he pulled out, and then it was supposed to be Andrew Yates.
Yes.
And then Andrew Yates ended up not wanting to fight on this upcoming card, so they found this kid from Washington at 7-3, Benny Vinson.
Oh man, see, I was hoping to get Wally on again because I was looking forward to seeing the rematch because of the way it played out last time. I was hoping.
Don't worry. After I win, I'm taking the mic and I'm gonna do some mic work on Wall.
Oh right, okay, cool. You're gonna break.
Get that fight.
Yeah, awesome. I think it'd be a good matchup to see again. I do honestly, the way it went. I think it'd be interesting to see how it goes again, man. Look, but like you say, you got Benny coming up now, and for Benny, you're more of a feather in his cap, so to speak, because you're probably one of the poster boys, let's say, for Titan. You've been on there so many times. You're probably more of a scalp for him than he is for you.
Yeah.
Now,
one second.
with that, do you feel that then the pressure's more on you because he's got not as much to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I guess You could look at it as pressure. I'm going into his hometown, so he'll have a lot of friends there. But there's pressure involved in fighting in front of your own hometown. So really, with fighting, there's a lot of pressure, and I look at him as a tough guy, and I respect him, and I'm training hard. But I don't really feel any pressure for this fight. I see me rolling through him pretty quickly.
There seems to be an awesome bit of momentum going on at Glory at the moment. You've got, obviously, it's not just you on the card. I was speaking to Tim Elliott, and it just seems that there's a great kind of... There's good vibes at the moment. Things are clicking in. Like you say, you've got Megan Anderson, who's just came over. Well, not just came over, sorry. She recently joined up with you down there at the Glory MMA, and she went on and had a hell of a good performance at Victor. It seems that things are clicking pretty well at Glory. Is there a reason why things have recently started to just, the vibe, is everything just clicking well? Everything's working well. James Krause obviously going to go and get a stonkily good win as well soon.
Yeah, we're right. We got Grant Dawson that's now fighting on March 4th. He's going to be 9-0 after that. He's only 21 years old. We got a kid named Yazin Hajj who's fighting here locally in 3 weeks, who's rolling as a pro. We just have tons of people that are competing, and the reason why all the success is there's kind of like a blueprint laid here. We have Mondays and Wednesdays are 2-a-day mandatory pro practices pretty much. Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, more martial arts-based classes that are kind of mandatory for certain fighters to be there. And then we also do our strength and conditioning Tuesdays and Thursday mornings next door. And then Saturday mornings is hard sparring. So we have this consistent blueprint with consistent good coaches involved. And our gym is packed with members, but there's a small core group of serious fighters, and you're well aware of who they are.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of an agreement with everyone that everyone shows up and everyone kind of puts in, the proper amount of work, or we all kind of hold each other accountable. Whether it's giving each other shit for not training properly or whatever it is, we do hold each other accountable, and everyone's showing up, and I wouldn't, not going through the motions, but everyone's showing up and doing, I guess, as they're supposed to do, and then the results just happen,
I was going to say, because there must be a lot of trust within the group, because you obviously have to explain what each other's flaws are to each other, and, that takes a lot of, for your teammates to say it, and then for you to take it on and accept it, and then to work on it. There must be a lot of trust within the group.
Yeah, everyone kind of brings their own styles and stuff, and we have Tim Elliott, Grant Dawson. These are serious, really, really good wrestlers. We have people coming from just straight striking backgrounds. So everyone, Monday mornings are just straight wrestling days where it's just live wrestling for an hour and a half, and it's grueling. And when you come over here from, let's say, it's another country or another gym, and you're going through these hour and a half strenuous grappling sessions, it's pretty, there's no way to lie, there's no way to pretend. You know exactly where you stand, and then where you're lacking and what you have to do to get better, really. Yeah,
an hour and a half of wrestling, that's pretty honking. I won't lie, that's pretty horrible.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely, and especially when you're not used to it, you won't be able to lift your head for a few days until you get used to it.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was doing weightlifting, and then I did a wrestling session that evening, and I started because of I was developing the weight. I was going up in my weightlifting. I was lifting more and more. When I started doing wrestling and grappling, I started getting tendonitis in my elbows, and it was the worst thing I've ever had. I just literally could not move my arms. They literally were just stuck in a position. It was absolutely insane because of how intense the wrestling was, really. It's the
toughest sport in the world, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, people who've not done it, they just don't understand. Yeah, it is absolutely honking. Like you say, your neck is it's in a state. The closest I can get to explaining how my neck feels after a wrestling session is, do you know the sport rugby?
I know that the guys are nuts.
Yeah. I play rugby. I play rugby. I like to play.
Nuts.
Yeah. So we don't have basically it's kind of like American football without the padding, but with the neck, you get basically what you have is a thing called a scrum, where if you imagine you've got your offensive line, your defensive line, and when they go into each other, what they do is you have to interlock. You kind of go head and shoulder. Imagine three guys locking arms, and then the other guys in front of them are locking arms, stood in front of each other, and they interlock their head and shoulders together, and they're like bent over, and they're pressing. They're not using their hands to balance because they're pressing against each other. It's like that, but just you've got 8 men either side, so it's 16 guys just ramming, pressing into each other. Your neck is absolutely ruined after some sessions. It's absolutely honking.
Yeah, that's kind of why like rugby guys and wrestlers kind of have a similar build, probably.
Yeah, it's
stocky, buff build.
Yeah, there's just your neck's just in bits, mate. I fractured my neck playing rugby. It was great fun, but I still play. It's all good. You only live once. Yeah.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, fuck it. Hey man, I've got a spare vertebrae. It's fine. Look, Anthony,
right.
Man, you've got a good bit of confidence in you. You're looking to get a nice win streak 2016. So I imagine your goal is this year to avenge that loss against Wally Watson would be a good thing to do, and then also to shoot for that gold. You know, get that 135 belt, which it seems like it's just been out of reach for you so often. It's just literally it's in sight, but it's just out of reach.
Yep, it really my interest is Wall Watson or Brett Johns or whoever has the belt. Those are kind of my goals. Brett Johns, Wall Watson, or the belt, and just get those fights, and I'd be happy with any of those fights. Right now, I'm just kind of worried about myself, trying to get better and try to win those fights.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if you get those fights down, and even if you get the belt and then you defend it, it won't be that. You can't be that far off from a UFC call-up, I'd imagine then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the next step or the next set of goals, and I don't really look that far ahead.
Yeah.
It's something I would definitely welcome, and I think it will happen in my future. But I definitely think me accomplishing these goals here are going to lead to better goals there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The good thing is you're not exactly 40 years old. You're still young in the game. You've got plenty of time to get to the UFC. You don't have to rush there. You can just build up. You can have a 2016 that it's built on solid kind of foundations of winning and success, and just build from it.
Yep, that's what's cool about it is, I have a lot of amateur experience, and I'm coming up on 10 professional bouts, 20 amateur fights, and what's cool is I'm starting to consider myself as an experienced seasoned fighter at only 25 years old, so I have a lot of room to grow, and I'm still hungry, and I'm enjoying coaching, and my martial arts journey never stops, with my coaching career and things like that. So, running the gym, and it's just a blast to be a part of, and there's always something new every year.
Yeah, exactly, man. And do you know what, ladies and gentlemen, March the 4th, you should really, seriously, I'll be watching. Hey mate, I am free that weekend, so I'll be tuning in to watch that fight card. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you all get Fight Pass. If you don't have it already, I'm going to slap you all in the face with a wet fish. And look, get Fight Pass, well worth watching. Get the first week free, so tune in on the 4th of March when you can watch Mr. Gutierrez throw down against Benny. Be well worth watching. He's got a great group of people behind him. And look, before I let you shoot off, buddy, give everyone your social media so they can jump on and give you like a little follow and a shout out and stuff.
Boom, thanks, man. It's Sharkbait816 on Instagram and Twitter. Appreciate you.
And I follow him, so you should all follow him as well. And what about sponsors, mate? What sponsors you got there?
Nothing really right now at the moment, to be honest. Just Glory MMA and Fitness. Check us out. Yeah,
jump on then. And last but not least, I want to give thanks to, like you say, your teammates, coaches, and just people in general that help you out.
Really, honestly, just the entire Glory team, the members and our fight team, everybody at Glory.
And last but not least, we will arrange a pay-per-view bout of the rematch with Megan Anderson and Anthony Gutierrez in a no-holds-barred, maybe. Or should we have a cage match? What do you think we should have? Like a last man standing or something?
I like the last man standing, and honestly, these pay-per-view numbers could be so well, I might not ever have to fight again. So
exactly. I can see it happening. I can see it going down well. Look, Anthony, thanks very much for your time, mate. Pleasure as always speaking to you.
If we can get Megan to do it in a bikini, then we'll have good pay-per-view numbers.
Yeah, I will just... Yeah, I'm with you. In fact, I'll get a ticket. I'll have a VIP seat if you don't mind.
Okay, we'll put you front row.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, tune in, watch him. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Anthony, again, mate. And it's always great speaking to you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Okay, I am joined now with Benny Vinson. He is fighting on the Titan FC card, which goes down on March the 4th. His opponent is Anthony Gutierrez. Now, Benny, you're stepping up with the Titan FC onto the UFC Fight Pass against Anthony Gutierrez, who is, I would say, one of the poster boys for the promotion. It's a big opportunity for you to kind of get yourself a little name on your win list. I assume you're taking this probably as your most serious fight so far in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Gutierrez, he's no joke. I believe he's 7-2. Most of his fights have been for Titan FC, so yeah, I definitely see him as one of their poster boys for sure. And it's definitely, I'm taking this as my toughest fight to date. And I got my head on my shoulders. Got a great camp. Training with my boy Ricky Simone, who's fighting also that same night for the 135 belt. So I was going to be training next to him anyway, so I'm ready to do this.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you've got yourself, Ricky Simone, and Pat Healy as well. He's fighting on the card. The three of you are all going to peak at the same time. You're training together. You're going through the same aches and pains. You're both going through the same kind of emotions and a kind of emotional roller coaster of a training camp. So I suppose that helps the three of you, with that bonding and that teamwork as well through the whole camp.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a family atmosphere. Just real quick, I can't forget Ryan Healy is also fighting. Pat's brother's also fighting on that card.
Yes.
So, it's going to be packed, and hopefully we're going to have a house down there, that night with the hometown crowd and just put on good shows. We're all grinders and stuff, and we just come to bang and just fight. So yeah, it's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, Rose City, it's starting to push out a lot more names. Since I've seen the possible last 12 months, there's more names coming out. You're another name going on to, like you say, onto the bigger stage with Titan. Now, for yourself though, on a personal level, I imagine you're wanting to get a bit more consistency with getting a good run of wins under your belt. Because that's the only thing it seems that you're lacking, is that consistency of getting like that 3 or 4 fight win streak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what the focus is too. It's a good matchup for me. I believe it's definitely, going into this, obviously, I believe it's a definite winnable fight for me. And then I'm just looking at this fight, and hopefully, just get this fight out of the way, and then I'll worry about the next one. But definitely the plan is to string a couple together.
And have you addressed what it is that's making you just... Because sometimes it's just the smallest little things. Some fighters are missing, and then when they get it all put together, everything kind of just flows. Can you pin down yourself? Do you know what it is that's causing this? Just you're just short of that consistency.
A lot of times, it's honestly, some personal demons and stuff that I just needed to honestly man up and make a decision of, I just wanted to be like, a so kind of local fighter, or if I wanted to actually commit to this and actually make a run for something, on the bigger stage and stuff. And right now, just personally in my personal life and stuff, everything's going great and stuff. I'm just like really headstrong right now, in a better place, and I feel like it was never I could, the talent for me, I guess, not to be cocky or anything. I felt like I could compete with like some of the higher, stage level guys, but it was just more of like if I was into it and making the training, making the weight, consistently doing a diet, not partying, in my personal life. And now that I'm older and stuff, I wish I would have done it when I was younger, but like I still have time, I believe, and I feel great. I'm healthy, no real big injuries and stuff, and man, I'm ready to do this just mentally, like feel greater than I ever have. Like I just feel strong physically, mentally. I'm just really sound in my personal life. And I think that's a big part for a lot of, you look at a lot of the UFC champions and bigger stage champions, their personal life is sound and stuff, they got it, they're not out wilding out, going out every night and stuff like that.
Apart from John Jones. Apart from John Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just...
Absolutely.
I can't believe the fight gets announced, and then literally he's getting done for driving without a license. That dude just, he's probably the greatest of all time. Yeah, that dude needs to just, it's crazy, man. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I just think to myself as well, you know, I personally think I think he's got Daniel Cormier's number all day long, you know. I think Daniel Cormier is literally holding the belt for John Jones, and I'm thinking, just get his act together, come back, get your belt back, and then move on.
Yeah, like, it's not even a question of talent at all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just his personal demons, man, you know, you get
It's crazy, man, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand people don't understand with fighters that it's not the ability sometimes, because at the end of the day, we are human beings. You know, we all have stuff going on externally that just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not going on. It's a distraction, because subconsciously when you're in a fight, that demon is there and you're not fully in the fight. As much as you think you are, that subconsciousness just really does have a huge effect. You know, I'm with you as well, Benny. I've competed before, and I've had subconsciously things that it's just not. I'm not able to be there because my mind is somewhere else.
Absolutely. You know, I think that plays a huge role, and I got my stuff together, and I'm ready to, you know, just focus on this fight and just be the best Benny that night and let it just happen, you know?
I imagine that obviously the people around you make a big difference. Like you say, your teammates at the gym, you know, having their like kind of support, and I imagine it's like a family atmosphere as well. From the guys you spoke to all there, it definitely seems that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of like do everything together, even like outside of the gym, you know, whether it's barbecuing or just like meeting up somewhere for like dinner and going to fights, or like, you know, paddle boarding, whatever. We all just kind of, you know, hang out. For a while I worked, you know, for Ryan and Pat, you know what I mean? So I saw them every day at work, and then we train, you know, so it's definitely a family atmosphere.
Yeah, with Anthony, I noticed in his fights, he likes to stand up. You know, he likes to stand up, likes to throw his hands a lot, likes to throw the leg kicks especially. He's a guy who is dangerous on the feet. You know, he definitely does possess some good hands. With your training, do you personally like to do your coaches look at what his strengths are and give you like a set list of things to do, or do you like to just go out there and do your thing, like not worry about anything that he actually does? Only maybe if, for example, he always likes to throw a spinning back kick in the fight. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, he always throws a spinning back kick. That's the only thing you got to look out for. Other than that, you just do your own thing.
I'm sorry, what was it, very last year after the spinning back kick?
I was just saying, do you, like, for example, I'm just like, that's a hypothetical thing.
Like game plan?
Yeah, do you have a game plan? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I'm like looking like at what he does in his fights and stuff, and game plan for that. Like, can't ignore like the fact that like he's just, like I said, I believe he's like at 7-2, and like he's won 4 of his fights by triangle. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that you know, I believe those stats. That could be off, but you know what I mean? That's something I know he does like to throw some flashy kicks and stuff. He is like 5'10", you know. So there's definitely some planning going into this and stuff, you know. And there's going to be some things looked at and definitely planned. He's too good of an opponent, and it's too big of a stage not to look at him and like plan for something.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You know, people have got to respect their opponents, you know, and some fighters don't respect their opponent. I think, you know what, it is a martial arts in there, and you should respect your opponent, and they have got a skill set, and they're in there for a reason. And I think it's I think it's very wise to always just have a quick little look at what you got on, what you're going to be facing, because it does help. And I think it helps prepare you a little bit more for when you get in there. They're not going to be exactly the same as they were in their last fight. Well, they shouldn't technically be, but it gives you an idea at least.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I am like, you know, looking for like, you know, when I get my rounds in and stuff, looking for guys who are a little bit leaner and taller and stuff for that body style, you know. it's going to be a little bit different than fighting like a guy who's like, 5'5".
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit different for sure. It's going to be way different when we lock up.
Because you've had a bit of time off, Benny, since your last fight. With that time off that you've had, have you been working on specifics within yourself? Have you been like maybe focusing on a little bit more aspect of maybe Muay Thai, or have you been doing a bit more wrestling or anything in the time since you've had off? Because you've not been stuck in fight camp, so to speak. You've had a bit of time to, I say, experiment a bit more with yourself as a martial artist.
Well, I definitely love, like, the ground game. Like, I'm always, like, rolling, doing jips and, like, catch wrestling and stuff. And I definitely love stand-up, so I'm always trying to, like, get boxing in and stuff. But I guess, it has been a while since my last fight and stuff. But I have been just definitely, like, focusing on, just toning my skills, just getting a little bit better at boxing and a little bit better at, like, catch wrestling and stuff. And then really just kind of focusing on, like, blending it together, and stuff. Like, I feel like, sometimes people get caught up in, like, the specifics of, like, I'm going to work on boxing, or, like, wrestling, or, like, jiu-jitsu, or Muay Thai, whatever it may be, and they focus on the specific, and they kind of get away from the, like, flow of MMA, like, where, like, you gotta switch it up, and constantly go to different things and keep people guessing and stuff, go up, down, just throw a barrage of different weapons, until one fits, until you get in,
No, you're right, you get on. I agree with you. I think it is one of them ones where you need to know the fundamentals of the specific martial art. You should certainly learn the fundamentals, but what you should also be doing is learning to transition the martial arts together as well, which hence that's what helps the fluidity.
Absolutely.
Now, Benny, like you say, mate, it's a huge fight. It's a great opportunity, but also it seems like Rose City, you're going to try and bring the house down with all the guys that are fighting on the card. It's a big kind of it's a big event for you all, really. The kind of area that you're all representing. It's a good moment. I feel there's a lot of good vibes going to go down. You've all got good opportunities. Like I say, you've got two. Pat Healy's defending his belt, but you've got Ricky Simone who's trying to get a belt. So that would be awesome for the club itself to come back with twice as many belts. Benny, look, before March the 4th, Titan FC, when the card is on, people might want to go and support you. They might want to give you a bit of following, might want to give you a bit of support. How can they do that via social network and stuff?
Definitely hit up my Facebook. Unfortunately, right now my Twitter account kind of got hacked into, so I have to redo that. But definitely Facebook for now, and then I'll link a Twitter account to that, of course. Through my fight manager, Will Hammond and stuff, and you can always get tickets, I believe, at TitanFC.com. And
get tickets if you haven't got tickets. If you can't get to the area, because if you live in South Africa, you can buy Fight Pass. Get Fight Pass. It's great. I have it. I've had it for a long time. Love it. Get yourself some Fight Pass, folks. What about, have you got any sponsors, Benny, that help you out with your fight camps and stuff?
Just like my gyms, Rose City, of course, Alive MMA, Eastside Athletics and Performance. Just those three gyms are, where I get my coaches, Andy Metzger, Ian Loveland, all my training partners, Josh Blocken, Ricky, all those guys.
Hey, look, Benny, it sounds like you've got everything flowing now. It seems everything externally, you've got it all sorted, squared away. You now can focus on inside the cage, which means everyone at home gets to see a better version of Benny Vinson. That sounds like a good thing to me.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Benny, for coming on to talk to me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show and stuff. Real quick, so I want to thank Titan, of course, for the opportunity, and thank Gutierrez for taking the fight. Appreciate the opportunity, and I can't wait to throw down March 4th, man.
Yeah, have a great time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy that whole experience. Zak Bucia, you're joining me right now. You are fighting very soon, let's say, March. You're kicking off on Untitled FC against Jason Novelli. This is one hell of a scrap. You know, you got two guys coming in. You're on a 4-fight win streak. I think Jason's on a 3-fight win streak. Two guys who are on fire at the moment. It just makes for a really great, exciting fight. Potentially, I penned it down as a potential fight of the night.
Yeah, I think it's just be a good one. I think it will be fight of the night. I'm planning on it being very one-sided, of course, but I think he's really good. He's pretty solid across the board, and it's kind of the way I am. You know, I've got a little bit of everything, and so does he. So I'm really excited to see how it all plays out.
You know, your last fight that you had on Titan, that was a nice benchmarker for you, getting the finish as well. You know, that's really set you up with a good bit of momentum. Good, huge confidence boost as well. You know, the kind of, you know, that kind of setting the grade going into this fight. Do you feel that beating Jason will really put you in that kind of picture of being one of the best in that kind of let's say weight class within Titan FC?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of like some of my last few fights have already started to establish that.
Yeah.
I just want to keep that up. I really just want to keep that momentum rolling. And Jason's a great opponent, so it'll be good to kind of showcase how I feel that I'm my place in all of this stuff and in Titan.
Now, your last fight that you had, it was September, wasn't the last bout off the top of my head? I think it was, yeah. Yeah. So in that time that you've had, you've been able to go back, look at the fight you had, analyse it. Is there anything in particular that you've been working on that you maybe noticed that you weren't maybe particularly happy with?
Just defending the wrestling a little bit more. I think I was being a little bit lazy because he got some really nice takedowns, and I think it's just because I'm really confident in my jiu-jitsu. So I never felt like I was in danger at any point. So, and I kind of went along with some of the takedowns. Not that he wasn't an amazing wrestler. He was really good at what he does, but I felt like I could put a little bit more effort into fighting off those takedown attempts, and I think I could have done better in the wrestling aspect. And so I've been working on that a bit. But otherwise, you know, just staying really sharp with striking and my jiu-jitsu, which is what I do.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you went back to have that fight again, obviously, would you keep fighting off the wrestling a bit more to keep the fight standing, to work you're striking a lot more? Because, like you say, he did get some takedowns in because he wanted to keep the fight closer. Would you have liked to have done that?
I feel really confident in my striking, and I felt good striking against him as well. So it would have been good to keep it on the feet a little bit longer. I did finish him on the ground, but ultimately it was because I dropped him with a straight left hand.
Yes.
So it would have been nice to get that knockout. So that fight ended because I really wanted to get another knockout in a row because I was on a few of them, a couple back to back, and I wanted another knockout. So, but I pounced on him after that straight left hand, and he's a sambo player, and he went for a footlock, which is dangerous territory. So I kind of went into jiu-jitsu mode after that and found the choke.
Yeah, footlocks are deadly. You know that. There is a lot of exposure to yourself as a fighter when you go for it. You see a lot of guys when they do that sometimes. I find that they go for the heel hook at the wrong time, or they go for any kind of lock on a leg when they're too close to they've not got the leg stretched out enough, and they're too close to the opponent's fists, where the guy can reach them. When they really need to get the angle, they need to get elongated so their head's further away. So if the guy is going to start hitting you, he's only going to be hitting you like your kidneys and your ribs, kind of that kind of the side of your body or somewhere like that, or even the hip. Somewhere where you're not going to want to stop.
Yeah, and you don't want to get into a. I mean, I feel comfortable with my leg locks and stuff like that too, but I mean that's an area where I felt like I want to keep it where. I feel like I've got the bigger advantage, and once you start going for footlocks, even though I'm confident in mine, the tables can turn on that really fast. Especially you got a Russian sambo player, on your leg. You don't want to play that game.
No, you don't know. That's the problem with some submissions. There is there's a great reward, but there is a very, very big price to pay if it doesn't come off.
Yeah. Exactly. And footlocks are one of those things. Like if you by going for a footlock yourself, you're kind of offering up your own. So it's just dangerous territory, you know.
Yeah, it is.
And I felt like I was so far in the upswing. There's no reason to take that chance, you know.
I think the only guy I've watched recently who does go for the leg but gets away with it because his style is so let's say sporadic. He knows what he's trying to do, but he's so sporadic in what he does. The guy who's fighting doesn't know. Is Tony Ferguson. You know, the way he lunges in for those legs all the time, but guys are just darting away to get away from it. They can't counter him because they don't know they don't want to risk standing there.
Yeah, I mean it's scary for a lot of people, and most people don't want to deal with it at all, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. Look, Titan FC had a bit of a sour ending to 2015. They're looking to go off with a big bang with 2016. They've obviously decided to put some good matchups on. You know, like I say, you've got yourself and Jason going down. 2016, Zach, is your goal then, I'd imagine, you know, finishing Jason, ideally you'd like to have a highlight reel finish. Everyone does. Does it ever come to your mind about maybe trying to go for a bit of gold within the promotion to kind of establish yourself as being the champion and just having that recognition?
That's been thrown around. We had the possibility of fighting a guy for the belt at one point, but it was just something that was discussed and didn't ever pan out. I mean, I'd be great. I wouldn't mind fighting for the title, but ultimately, my goal would always be, you know, let's make it into the UFC.
Yeah.
And I think we're close to that even being a possibility.
Yes.
But in the meantime, you know, just, you know, tearing stuff up and tightening and making sure that, you know, I'm a force to be reckoned with in this league.
Well, that's what I mean by becoming a force to reckon with, by having the belt within Titan. That's what I mean. That would probably help get that push to the UFC. You know, having the strap kind of it helps you stand out a bit more, I think.
I would be honored and proud to have that belt. You know, of course, it would be really great. And like I said, it's been thrown around, so it's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. So I mean, if after this fight that comes up and that's the move we want to make, and I'd be absolutely stoked to fight for that belt. Yeah,
I'd like it to happen. I'd like to see that happen eventually. I'd like to see the talk becoming kind of substantial. I'd like to hear Jeff Arnson. I hope, you know, I'll be speaking to Jeff shortly in a couple of weeks. Maybe talk to him about, are they looking to set dates roughly? Are they looking to say, look, we are going to put this belt up, you know, because I think also it helps you guys when you're going in there and you know that there's going to be a belt eventually up for grabs. It gives you that incentive, like you say, to get yourself to the UFC. Being the champ, it really does magnify it. Also, being the champ, it means you're a bit of a poster boy for the promotion, helps your exposure as a fighter, gets you out there to more people too.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it would be a big honor, and I would definitely love to fight for that title. And there's no doubt in my mind, of course, that if I got that fight, you know, that belt would be mine. I'm not, you know, whoever would be in front of me. But yeah, I agree. I think that would be great.
Look, Zach, I'm telling you right now, you and Jason, like I said before at the start, I've penciled you two as potential fight of the night. Ladies and gentlemen at home, if you do not have Fight Pass, you can get it for free, a 1-week trial for free, right? So I suggest you do it for this weekend. The Titan FC card is on, which is the 4th of March, isn't it, off the top of my head? Yeah, it is 4th of March, isn't it?
Yeah, 4th of March.
Yeah, 4th of March.
So we got just under a month.
Yep. So get your Fight Pass signed up, say like the day before, make sure it works. Honestly, I've got Fight Pass. I tell everyone to buy it. It's so worth the money. It's pittance compared to, you know, other things that you can buy. Just don't eat a pizza, you know, just don't go buy yourself a big pizza or something each month. You know, one less pizza a month, I don't know, takeaway or whatever. Get Fight Pass, watch this card, this fight, like I said, it's definitely one to keep an eye out for. We've got two guys who are on a roll. Zach, have a fantastic rest of the fight camp. Have a great fight against Jason. enjoyed a whole weekend. And thank you very much, Zach, for talking to us. But before I let you go, can you give everyone at home your social media so people can jump onto it and give you a little follow, mate?
Yes, I'm mostly doing the Facebook stuff right now. I need to be keeping up with the Twitter stuff more. But yeah, Zak Bucia on I have a fan page there on Facebook. Just look me up there.
And what about any sponsors, my friend, helping you out?
Just my fight team right now. I'm focusing on just the fighting. I'm not too overly worried about sponsors. I do have a guy in California that from Executive Shield. They help me out a lot. Those are really good guys. CrossFit Lawrence here in Lawrence, Kansas, who's hosts my fight team, which is Lawrence Fight Club.
Because isn't it Thomas? Is it Thomas Thatcher that does that stuff there?
Yep. He's the one that owns CrossFit Lawrence, and he's coming up in the ranks too, and Shamrock.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I've spoken to Thomas before. Yeah, he did mention. And last but not least, like you say, do you want to give a shout out to your training partners? You know, people who are helping you out, coaches, stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. Thomas Thatcher's one. He helps me a lot with my mobility and strength and conditioning. My Muay Thai coach, Shannon Woodward, he's really great. And, of course, my jiu-jitsu coach, Trevor Rivers, who's also a part of the Lawrence Fight Club as well.
You are lethal on the ground, I have to say, Zach. You've been very impressive with the fights I've seen. Like I said before, have a great fight. Thank you very much for talking with us. Thank you for giving us your time. And just enjoy yourself on that weekend, Zach.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, Jason Novelli, thank you very much for joining us to speak. You're taking on Zak Bucia at the Titan FC 37 card. It's a fantastic matchup in the fact that we've got two guys. I spoke to Zach about this. Two guys who are on very good runs. I think Zach's 4-fight win streak. You're on a 3-fight win streak off the top of my head. It's just two guys who have got a lot of momentum behind them, so it really makes for a great battle, really. I think so, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for this fight, and I think our styles are going to work a lot better than my last fight, which I was disappointed to get my first decision in a long time, but I don't see that happening with this fight. I think we're going to steal the show away.
I was thinking, yeah, that this is, I've said it before, I've said it again, this has got the potential for a fight of the night, definitely, and like you say, your styles makes matchups. You said that your last outing, sometimes styles can cause clashes, and like you say, decisions are not everyone wants to hit a decision, but sometimes you have to really get a decision to help grind out. It does help sometimes having a decision because it shows a bit of testicular fortitude in yourself that you can do 3 rounds as well.
Yeah, I guess you can take the positive in there. It was nice. He was in survival mode, and I kind of just got happy beating up on him instead of getting that finish. But it's good to go 3 rounds and just know you have that in the bank. No problem.
Yeah. Well, what I mean by it is that some guys, for example, you're dominating a fight. It shows that you didn't gas yourself out trying to finish the fight. You were smart enough to, kind of resolve your kind of your energy levels to last the 3 rounds. Because some guys could have been trying to just go gun ho to finish the fight, and then they just have nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's pretty good for this fight, seeing the way he's a very patient fighter and very controlled, and so I'll have to match the same intensity and savvy at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Zach showed in his fight, his last one on time was, definitely he comes on in the second and third, he's just definitely like a second and third round kind of fighter. With this kind of knowledge that you get of your opponent, does this make, like you said, does this make you change then the way you're going to approach the fight slightly?
No, not really. Like you said, I get to prove a little bit from the last fight and prove that I have the gas tank to just keep going. And I don't see myself holding back at all because I know where my cardio and conditioning is, and that's how I get my openings. I keep on searching for those finishes by constantly putting some pressure on there and making them give me the openings.
Yeah, if you can overwhelm an opponent, it can definitely start to open things up, can't it?
Yes, definitely.
Pat Healy fighting. Oh, my memory's gonna. Oh, it's Steven. Is it Steven Seiler? No, it's not. Oh, it was meant to be Desmond Green, wasn't it? It was meant to be Was it Desmond Green, Pat Healy? But that fight's been changed. Desmond Green's got a new, been injured, and Pat Healy's got a new opponent. And that happened. Do you know what? That got announced today, and this is why my memory is gonna. Oh, I'll tell you what. Give me a second, and I will be able to dig that out. Give me a sec. It is. Let's see. I know, mate. Do you know what? It's meant. Here we go. It is Pat Healy fighting. Here we go. Oh boy. Mushin. It's Muhsin Corby Corbrey Corbrey. Yeah. Now I'm not sure.
You're not even gonna try and pronounce that, huh?
Yeah, we'll leave it like that. Now, I don't know if that's a title fight because it's put down as 3 rounds. It might still be a title fight, but because it's maybe changed to short notice, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find more information. But like you say, yeah, the fight with yourself and Zach, it could push for a potential kind of number 1 contender. Then, you know, if you win, you can stake a claim to fight for the next one. I know Desmond Green was meant to fight, but you know, if you put on performance worthy enough, you might get a stab at it yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think Zach would be in the same boat. He's been on a good tear recently, so I think he's vying for the same opportunity. So that's why I see the fight being a little more exciting than actually if we didn't already have enough pressure. I think that's enough to get us to go a little bit harder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, does it play in your mind the fact that you are close to a shot? Do you think about it much, or do you just try to focus purely on the fight game itself? Like, as in, each fight is a title fight in itself, because you got to think if you win, that puts you closer to an ultimate goal of being signed up with the UFC, but a loss can really cause a knock-on effect. So, do little things like that come into your mind?
Not as much as I thought it would. I'm really well focused on what I need to do, and I always have this constant pressure on myself of making this fight my best fight. And you never know when it's your last fight, and you never know when something can happen. So every fight I put the same kind of pressure on myself. From December to November, I fought 6 times trying to fight everybody I could. I'm trying to be on the fast track to getting the title here or going to the UFC, whichever comes first. And I'm ready to go wherever it takes me. And the pressure, I'd put it on myself, but it doesn't feel any different whichever fight I've done.
It all feels the same to me. It's a good mindset, Jason, because like you say, you don't know when it's going to be last. Because, for example, you could be getting out the shower, you slip and you pop your knee, and that's it, done. You know, the simplest things can happen.
Yeah, definitely. You could be winning the fights, and just something happens that sets you back, or
yeah, you could. Yeah,
it takes you out. So.
Oh yeah, we've seen it before where guys, you know, they've been doing a bit of cage work, and their thumb gets dislocated, and the fight's over. Then, and you think, man, like really, for a dislocated thumb, the guy could pop it back in. He'd probably still fight and he'd be fine. But that's it. It's so annoying. It happens, man. You know, it's crazy little things like that. So, since your last fight, what have you been doing then have you done anything particular to get yourself ready for this fight with Zach on the Titan card? Have you been going anywhere in particular to train?
I haven't actually changed anything too much. Like I said, his style works a lot with what I want to do. And we actually had a fight scheduled before the last Titan card had some issues. We were already on the card to fight. I can stay in there with the guys and take what I need to, but I want to get those finishes, and so everything's just a little bit sharper, a little bit faster.
Well, I was going to say you've had time to drill the kind of techniques or movements that you want to apply in the fight a lot more. You've had a few more months of drilling, which it makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely it does. And just get it closer and closer to muscle memory, and we're gonna see those openings 100% fight night.
Hey man, I tell you what, I've already checked my schedule for the 4th of March, and I've already made sure I am actually free and available to watch this card live. So I will definitely be tuning in. We're in the UK, and I will be watching it from the UK. I don't care about the time difference. I don't care about staying up till a silly hour. I will be tuning in to watch this fight card, man. And this fight with you and Zach is definitely one I'll be looking at because, like I said before, it's got Fight of the Night written all over it, really. You know, the pair of you are just two guys who are just on a tear, really, just on your own accord. You know, the pair of you are doing great work individually, and you just, you know, you're on a cross path, and it's literally made for an absolutely belt and bout, isn't it?
That's the way I've been seeing it every night before I go to sleep. So I certainly gonna try to live up to the potential. I'm gonna keep it going, and I hope he's out to do the same. Yeah,
me too. Ladies and gentlemen, Fight Pass, buy it, watch this card, watch Jason and Zach throw down. This fight in particular will definitely be one to keep an eye out for. Jason, before I let you go, can you let anyone know what your social media stuff is so they can jump on and give you a follow?
Yeah, definitely. I got an Instagram at jnovelli1. You can catch my fan page on Facebook at Jason.Novelli. And I'm also on Twitter at jnovelli.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Jump on him. I give a follow already myself, so I suggest you all do as well. And Jason, have you got any sponsors there to help you out at all?
I got a few sponsors from Frank's Pineapple Smash is this delicious salsa that's been helping me lose my weight. It's been a lot harder without any flavor in my diet, so he's the biggest sponsor right now to keep me feeding. I'm a man who lives through his stomach, so.
And you're not the only one, me too. And what about, mate, do you want to give a shout out to your gym, coaches, your training partners, friends, family, and people like that?
Definitely, I gotta thank my brother, first of all, Nick Novelli. He's been the biggest sponsor of everything that I do, and current Alaska fighting champion in 2 weight classes over there, so I'm sure we'll be seeing him soon. I got my trainer and James Gammon at 10th Planet. Those guys, constant Matt Wizard, and Rose City FC. We're still around, still taking over, so you're going to have a good showing over there.
Oh, because isn't Nick 5-0 or something? Isn't he still undefeated?
What was that?
Isn't Nick still like? Isn't he like 5-0? Isn't he still undefeated? I believe.
Yeah, he came out 6-0.
6-0 now. Wow.
Lightweight title. So yeah.
Oh man, he's flying, isn't he? Check him out. Well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations there to Nick. Last time I checked was 5-0. So there you go, 6-0 now. He just keeps going. He keeps going, man. Look, Jason, have a great fight, man, against Zach. It's going to be a hell of a bout. It's going to be a hell of a bond burner. People got to tune in to watch it. I know it's going to be great to watch. Thanks very much for your time, and look, enjoy the rest of your fight camp, and enjoy the whole weekend of Titan FC.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, so I'll be enjoying every day.
Good stuff, man. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was Anthony, Benny, Zach, and Jason there. Now, I'm going to talk about what's going on this weekend ahead, though. Of course, these are fights there's fights happening and all goings on. In Bellator, they've got... I want to touch on it's like a circus show, so to speak, for the kind of main event and the co-main event. But you have also got some good fights on the undercard, which they had to back it up with. You've got Justin Wren coming back, the man who's doing wonders in Africa. with his charity work, is fighting Juan Torres in the heavyweight division. You've also got Melvin Guillard thrown down against Derek Campos. It's a fight worth looking out for. Seeing how Melvin Guillard's training preparation goes, he said he's got to dedicate this to Kevin Randleman, because Kevin Randleman sadly passed away this past week. A pioneer or legend or whatever you want to call him. He's one of the great guys from the sport back in the days of Pride, when he was just going against killer after killer, and he was one of the most aesthetically phenomenal athletes you've seen. It's a shame he was young, and these things happen, but I think you're going to see a Melvin Guillard going out with a mentality to really justify the reason why he's dedicating this fight, and probably victory to him, because I feel Melvin's just going to be an absolute savage in this bout. You've also got on the card Emmanuel Newton versus Linton Vassell, a rematch that they had before, where they had that tournament, if you remember, the light heavyweight tournament. Emmanuel Newton got the decision win over Linton back then. This time it's over 3 rounds, plus they have the added assurance that they don't have to worry about having a fight afterwards. There's no tournament going on. It's just a one-off bout. Will we see a different result this time? I think we might do, because they've figured each other out probably the first time round, maybe corrected some things that they found their opponent had strengths in and weaknesses. Fingers crossed, you won't see another decision bout. You'll probably see a finish in this one. Now we're going on to what I would deem as, like I say, the circus, or I don't know what. Yeah, it's a circus show. Kimbo Slice against Dada 500, or whatever you call him. Okay, if anyone saw what was going on with the pad work and stuff with Dada, you saw it was a shambles that was posted, the pad work, everything. That's all I'm going to say on this, Kimbo. Yeah, I'm not going to carry on. The main event is Ken Shamrock, Royce Gracie. Now, I don't mind this too much because of their age. They're of a similar age. If this was let's say, Ken Shamrock versus Tito Ortiz, I'd probably be not that interested in that fight, because, again, Ken Shamrock, he's 51, 52, Tito's 37. There's a vast difference in the age, and I wouldn't be too much of a fan of that. That said, though, this fight is happening. Ken Shamrock, we want to settle an old score against Royce Gracie. There's going to be a definite difference in the weight class. Apparently, there's going to be maybe a 25-pound difference in the weight class. If that'll have a factor in, I think it will. Royce probably will find that a bit of a problem. Shamrock, I think Ken Shamrock will probably come away with the victory on this one against Royce. Again, it's not something to dwell on. It's just happening. Get over it. Probably a lot of people will end up watching, if I'm honest with you. Talking of Bellator, though, M1 Challenge has got a couple of fights on this weekend, which Bellator had linkage with. Alexander Volkov, he was a heavyweight, I believe he was a heavyweight champion for them. And you had Alexander Shalemenko, who was a middleweight champion. These two are fighting in Russia. That will be interesting to see how they come along in this. And also for Shalemenko, after his controversial failed tests in the States. Now I'm going to step up to the next load of guests, because like I said, it's a packed podcast with 3 other guests, okay, from the Shamrock FC card this weekend, the 20th. We have Zach Gerullis, Bo Kunz. They take each other on in the heavyweight division. And also fighting on the card is Darryl Cobb, who is a man who's been on, if you remember, Fightmaster from Bellator. He's an experienced MMA fighter. He's got a K1 bout. He talks about his reasons why he's doing a K1 bout and not doing MMA. So here is Zach, Bo, and Darryl. Okay, I'm joined right now by Zach Gerullis. Now, sir, you're taking on Bo Kunz at Shamrock FC on the 20th of February. It's not that far away now. So pretty much, I'd imagine, your training is all but done, all but finished. It's just me. It's more or less just like getting a sweat on now. How are you feeling coming into this?
I feel very confident. I've been working on my ground game even before I knew I was supposed to fight. I've been working on my hands and my clinch. Yeah, I'm doing a whole bunch of cardio right now because that's all I can really do now, so I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah. I know it's strange to think that you're a fighter, you deal with you're punching people, but right now when it gets to this time, you feel like wrapping yourself in cotton wool and you don't want to do anything dangerous or anything that could hurt yourself.
Yeah, I kind of get nervous when it starts to snow. I'm like, oh no, man, it's starting to get slippery outside.
Yeah. Even getting out the shower, you got to make sure you don't slip on any bars of soap.
Yeah, banana peels and the such.
Yeah. Look, your opponent. Do you personally like to watch your opponent's fights, or is it something you like to leave to your coaches and they just say, "Look, we want you to work on this. Go."
It's kind of a both. I'll watch them. Just like if I'm bored, I'll be like, all right, I'll watch a video of them. But mostly my coaches watch them and they're like, all right, this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to go on. Don't worry about this. Pay very much attention to this. And that's what I do, and they train the crap out of me and pull me through it.
Now, you mentioned before you've been working a bit on your ground game stuff. Is there certain aspects of your game that you know you need to work on, that you're spending a bit more time on recently, and that you're looking to obviously develop in time? Because some guys, like I say, for me personally, I was really, when I first took up MMA, I was drawn into basically the kind of grappling side of things, the wrestling, like double legs and bits and bobs. Like, I was drawn into that more than, say, some guys like to do stand-up. I just don't know why. I was drawn into that kind of getting someone up against the cage and literally breaking someone's will. I get a sadistic satisfaction out of that. Was there anything about was that the same for you? Were you drawn to a certain part? You maybe spent a bit more time on it, and now you're trying to balance everything out?
I was really drawn to like the Muay Thai clinch because I like grabbing somebody by the head and punching them in the face repeatedly, and them doing the same to me. I was really, really aggressive in that kind of fighting, and then I was not very good on the ground through my amateur career, the beginning of it. And so I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu through Riga Machado and CSW catch wrestling. I'm better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than I am at wrestling. I'm still trying to get the hang of wrestling. But yeah, I really like getting punched in the face and clinching up with somebody. That seemed to happen a lot whenever he did that. So I really played into that. But my ground game was weak for a while, for a long time actually, until I finally got it along and figured it out.
See, I like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but at the same time, what Eric Paulson does with CSW, that is something that really echoes to me. That stands out. That speaks to me more.
It's a whole batch of mean. That's what it is.
It is indeed, my friend. Exactly. It's like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They call it the gentle art because you're being side control. You're putting a bit of pressure. But with CSW, it's almost like we're in side control. We're just going to make it really uncomfortable now, and then we're going to get your limb.
Here's my forearm in your chin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, while we're doing that, it's almost like they add a little bit on. It's almost like you've got jiu-jitsu, they got the nice stuff. Then it's like CSW just comes along and just puts a little bit of nasty on the end of everything, and you think, "Yep, I like it."
Yeah.
And for me, I love it. I do. I look at it and go,
"I got you in an armbar and also a wrist lock. Here we go."
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything extra they can fit on top, they just will. And do you know what? I don't know what it is. I just watched it and I just got absorbed into it, and I was like, I've got to watch more of this. And the more I watch, there was one. It was a Kimura. I think they call it a chicken wing. Sorry. And it was getting the arm free because if they say, if they grab their shorts, and they did it where like you dig your elbow into their forearm just to get their hand free, and I went, that's just nasty. And do you know what? It works so well, but it's so mean.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I love it. I love that side of it. people who roll with me don't like it, but do you know what? It's super effective.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's like people that roll with you don't like it. All they gotta do is tap out, and it's over with. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I've been working on neck cranks a whole bunch. I love neck cranks. They are some of the most painful things to get on you, and most funnest things to give.
Yep, I'm with you. When it comes to submissions, especially when the Peruvian necktie, a lot of people go for that. I don't. I go for the Japanese necktie when you get to crank that neck.
Yeah.
I jump straight onto that. Yeah. I don't even... the Peruvian, for me, is a plan B. The Japanese necktie is my plan A, because I think if I get that on straight away, you're going to tap, because that is more painful than that Peruvian, because Peruvian's a choke. I'd rather crank your neck a few inches to make you want to tap out.
Yeah. I learned a new one. It's called the Badger Bite from Ben Jones. One of the most meanest things and most stupidestly easy things you could do. And it makes people tap left and right. It's nuts.
A Badger Bite?
Yes.
I'm actually writing that down right now so I can... Okay, Badger Bite. I'll have to look into this one. Okay. I like mean. I'll be checking that one out. Now, you said before about your clinch... So do you work on Muay Thai then? Because Muay Thai would be the perfect thing for you, I'd imagine, working on the clinch, because it's grueling, it's hard, but the clinch, you can work on very close movements with your elbows, with your punching, especially knees as well. Is that something? And do you go to pure Muay Thai classes to work on that?
I think that my clinch is a mixture between Muay Thai and dirty boxing.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of anything. It's whatever I see that I can throw at you, I will throw.
Yeah.
And I will do it ferociously.
Hey, man, because I one thing that always sticks out to me was Alan Jabon against Richard Walsh, and Alan Jabon had this clinch, this Muay Thai clinch on him, and his right arm just literally followed Richard Walsh's left arm, and he just landed the perfect elbow and just laid out Walsh. And it was just, I tell you, when I saw that, I thought that's how people should be using their clinch a lot more. They should be definitely trying to isolate those elbows and use them. And it was just a perfect, beautiful elbow. Oh, even to this day, I think it sticks to me. It sticks to me in memory. I've seen a lot of knockouts, and that one sticks out big time because that was just beautiful usage of the clinch and Muay Thai elbow. Just it's not often you see, but a lot of guys. But then again, for you, I'd imagine you think of maybe Tim Boach when he had Dung King. I'm forgetting his name now. When he had him in the clinch and he just thrown those uppercuts and he just buried him with his uppercuts. It was terrorizing match that was in the middleweight division.
Oh yeah. I have yet to make a critical strike with an elbow. I'm really hoping I can get to do that on this fight because it looks like it would be a lot of fun to throw full force, and I have yet to do that because I don't like hurting my training partners. But I would love to land a knockout strike with an elbow, or even a cutting strike with an elbow.
Yeah.
Like just seeing somebody get slashed open, it's just like, ooh. Yeah, all right, here we go.
Yeah, man.
I smell blood.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, yeah, I've never thrown an elbow hard on anyone. I throw the elbow to know that it was there, then I stop before it gets to them.
Yeah.
All I've done, like you probably, is you just elbowed the pad. You got your pad holder to hold the pads. I've done that. That's about as hard, and that's the only time I get to hit the elbow harder on the bag. But then again, you're never going to use your... It's like with knees. You're never going to knee someone hard when you're sparring with them either, because you could rupture them.
Unless it's in the body, but...
Yeah, the body. Oh yeah, body is game. Do you know what? Because if you win someone, they're just going to be lying down for a few minutes and they're back in it. But if you knee someone in the face, it's lights out, isn't it? So... Yeah.
I was actually... Back when I first got with Horns MMA, I was training with my boxing coach, TJ Casey, and I threw a surprise knee whenever we were in the clinch, and I broke his sternum plate on accident. He was out for about a week, and I felt so bad. I stopped throwing knees straight up because of it, because during training. So I throw more of a Muay Thai kick,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like up the side,
Yeah.
whenever I'm training, you know. But the straight up one, whenever you're in the clinch and pushing someone's trying to like walk, like pull against you.
Yes.
I like just straight up, boom, it goes right in the sternum.
No,
And that's the win out of them most of the time.
yeah, it does, especially when you get in the solar plexus area. It just drops people like a bomb, doesn't it? It's horrible. Yeah. It isn't nice. No, I'm with you.
And there's nothing you can do. You're fully aware.
Yeah.
You're fully aware. Unlike a knockout to the head, a knockout to the body, like a liver shot or your diaphragm,
Yeah.
it knocks you out. Your body quits. Your
Yes.
mind's like, hey, why are we falling to the ground? Let's go. But your body is like, my mind's telling me yes, but my body's telling me no.
Yeah, you physically can't move, can you? Your body will not fight back. Your body's like, nah, we're tapping out, and your mind's going, no, I'm good. And your body's like, no, I'm really not. I'm staying here. This floor feels really nice.
Internal damage. Let's take a nap.
You kind of go into the fetal position. People who've never trained before or never had this happen to them, they are missing out. It's an eye opener in life. I'm telling you right now, you've got to get hit in the solar plex. You've got to get dropped. I think everyone needs to get dropped every now and then for a bit of a reality check, and B, to know that to make them realize they are human.
Oh yeah, what do you call it? My gym actually calls that being burritoed. Is whenever you get punched in the gut or get kicked in the gut and you fall down because you got knocked down. We call it a burrito, and you have to do 10 sit-ups and 10 push-ups right afterwards. That's one of the reasons why we cover our bodies so much.
Yeah.
Is because we know, like me and TJ and all the other fighters just going for the gut.
Hey, that's a good idea. I like that. That sounds quite good, man. Hey, Zach, it looks like you have a bit of fun at the gym as well. Which is a good thing, and you've got those little incentives and the fact that we're
a huge family, man. It's one of the best gyms I've ever been to. Like the sense of family at this gym is unbelievable.
And what I like is that you acknowledge that your ground game, for example, wasn't strong enough. You've purposely went and worked on your ground game, and you haven't just added one aspect. You haven't just went, I'm going to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You put Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you've done, the wrestling side of things, the catch wrestling. I like that because you can take something from everything, and that makes you a more well-rounded fighter.
Make your own weapon,
yeah, rather than just having one aspect, you're getting both, because you might find yourself in a position that maybe jiu-jitsu will work better, but then maybe catch wrestling might work better, and I think that's good. I think that's a good thing that you're doing there. It sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders, but you've got your gym as well is helping you in that way.
Oh yeah, my favorite quote from Dana White is, "In the sport of MMA, you cannot survive off of having heavy hands or being good on the ground. You have to be There I go, losing my words again. You have to be a very open and full-figured fighter."
Yeah, very much.
I've taken that to heart.
You do, because it's shown as certain guys in MMA, even at the highest level. Well, I say highest level, even within the UFC, they come undone when people know they've got weak areas. People will expose them. Like, for example, Sage Northcutt, he's a young kid, bless him, but everyone knew that how was he on the ground? What was he like on the ground? And he's okay for the first round because he's got lots of energy and he can muscle out of the movements. But then after that first round and you've muscled out, you haven't got that muscle to power out of them anymore. So then all technique goes out the window. So do you know what? You do need to have a well-rounded game. And I'm only picking Sage because he's more recent thing to come off, but there are other fighters with certain holes in their game. And it just shows, like, for example, Damian Maia was a good one. Years ago, all he did was jiu-jitsu and his striking wasn't that good. And he's had to develop a striking game to make him stay on the feet long enough to get you down, to use his grappling. So it's proven that you do need to have an all-round game. And look, Zach, it sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders to build on an all-round game. Again, as martial artists, you're never going to be the perfect fighter because you're always learning, you're always growing.
There's always somebody better.
Exactly. But what we get to know is that you're going to come into this fight against Bo on the 20th Feb as a more well-rounded fighter than you were in the last fight you had.
Oh yeah.
And that's a good thing. That's an exciting
Which
thing because we know we're not going to see, because you're not basically sitting happy where you were. It's good to see that you're going to develop. And look, I'm looking forward to seeing how that fight goes down. I'm sure everyone else who's going to the fight card will. Now, Zach, if I was to jump on to Facebook, if I was to jump on Twitter or anything, do you have any social media stuff that I can jump onto?
You could go on Facebook and look up Zach the Silverback Gerullis on Facebook, and that's my page. I have a Twitter. It's Zach Gerullis. I had just started that. Not too sure how to work it very well, but I'm working on it.
Hey, get it on. Do you know what? You can link up to your Facebook as well. So, there's all that stuff that you can do. Makes it a lot easier. So you can, every time you post on the Facebook, it links up to the Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So basically, it just instead of doubling up on everything, it just links it all up. So I've got it for example, I've got it on our Twitter feed. I've linked it up to the Facebook page. So every time I write on Twitter, it goes onto the Facebook wall. If you Google it,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. If you just Google it, if you use Facebook more, just type in link up Facebook to Twitter, and there's a little way to do it. It'll show you. It'll tell you how to do it, mate. It's really easy. It's easy enough. So you've got those. What about sponsors? Do you have any sponsors there?
I have one sponsor. My sponsor is the Courthouse Bar and Grill in Hillsboro, Missouri. Great food, great beer.
Yeah, there we go. Get down there, folks, if you live in the Missouri area. And what about, last but not least, you've mentioned a couple of people so far, but do you want to give a shout out to your gym, your training partners, your coaches, friends and family and stuff?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to my amazing gym, Han MMA. They have everything and anything you could ever need, man. They've really changed me in a pivotal moment in my fighting career, which I needed. I like to thank Kevin Hahn, Rashard Loveless, especially TJ Casey. Takes a lot of hits for me. He's my brother. I love him. He's a great man. I'd like to thank Chris Westhoff for helping me out when I first started off. And if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. You're equally as important.
Hey, look, Zach, have a great time, have a great weekend, like I said before, and enjoy your fight against Bo, man. And really, honestly, just absorb all the moments and enjoy them, and keep going and keep growing.
Thank you, man. I hope that you have a wonderful evening.
I will do. It's now 20 past 12 in the morning for me, but yeah, I'm having a great time.
Oh, crap. It's 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I'm in the UK, my friend.
Oh, I didn't notice. I didn't notice the accent, man.
Yeah, it's okay. Look, honestly, I don't mind. It's a pleasure. So thank you very much for coming on, Zach,
right,
and enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much for having me, man. You have a good night.
Right, firstly, Bo, thank you very much for joining us. You're fighting Zach Gerullis on the 20th of February. And so, like I said, you've had a very busy 2015. You had a lot of fights. Is that your plan for this year? Are you looking to, again, keep that momentum, try and get 4 or 5 fights this year?
Yeah, we're trying to be, stay steady, stay fighting. Obviously, this year we're going to look for more opponents that are, higher caliber, that are eventually going to get me, to the big show. Maybe fight on Bellator. Now that Shamrock's teamed up with them, just some more quality opponents. Not so many guys that are just starting their MMA careers out and trying to jump up into the pro level and fighting guys with no records. I'd like to get some fights with some guys that are, with some winning records and, really make a stance of where I'm at.
Well, that's one of the things you have to do, I suppose. When you first start off, you have to have those guys with the similar records, or they're just coming up. For example, if you had an opponent who, if you were to say you had 2 fights in your career, you may end up fighting a guy who's just starting his pro career. And like you said, now that you've established yourself, as a more veteran fighter, you will probably get those matchups made. And you did mention Bellator. That is something that I believe is a huge incentive now for people with Shamrock FC, to stay with that promotion, with that likelihood and potential ability of getting onto Bellator. Is that something about Shamrock FC that appeals to you now?
Yeah, I think that with Shamrock having the relationship, it just makes for a good, opportunity for the guys that are up and coming that sign with Shamrock, and veteran guys that actually go out there and put on a show and don't lay and pray. Everybody likes to win, but the crowd wants to see guys that are going to go stand and bang. And I believe that I've proven myself that I'm not afraid to stand in front of anybody. It's not been the smartest thing I've done a couple of times, but most of the time it's for a fun action and a great fight. And I'm a crowd pleaser, and that's what I like to do, is go out there and put on an entertaining fight and get bloody.
Well, do you know what? The thing that makes a fighter's appeal is basically if he puts bums on seats. And if you can get those people wanting to tune in to watch you fight, that is a factor in your that kind of credibility of you as a fighter. If people want to watch you, your credibility and your appeal goes up. So, like you said, you're not a lay and pray. If someone's a lay and pray, not that many people are going to tune in. You're not going to be that popular or in demand with promotion. So Bellator, for example, if you have a stellar 2016, you might even be with them before the end of the year.
Yeah, I really haven't put a lot into it because I do run a business and I pretty much, have a life away from fighting. It's not the fighter life that I live. But with the aspects of how I did in this past year and in these next up-and-coming fights that I have starting out this year, by the end of the year, like I said, I want to get quality opponents. I already asked to fight Bobby Brents, which is holding the belt for Shamrock right now. I'm ready for that, the Shamrock World title, and then, that contract with Bellator possibly. I used to think that it was, too far out of sight. I'm too old for it to get there, but with the guys that are up and coming and the guys that are still here, I still feel like I'm on a level playing ground. I just have to step up the training and really put the preparation in to go out there to be the world champion to get to the next level of Bellator. It's not, hindsight is it's not out of sight for me. I'm still hungry. I'm still gritty. I'm still ready to grind if I have to. But I want to make sure that all this hard work at the end is going to be paying off, and I'm not just doing it under just by whim of having fun with it. I want to do it. I want to make it up to go where I feel like I can be, and I know I can be. So, and 2016, let's get it on.
Well, that's the thing. 2016 is it's almost like a big year in a way for you, because 2015 you established yourself as a contender for that Shamrock title, and now 2016 comes. It's almost like that breakout year for you, really. And you mentioned that you have a life outside of it, you've got the job, etc. Do you feel that if you were to get that opportunity to compete at Bellator, you may have to put a bit more training in? You may have to maybe try and find some more hours here and there to get a bit more extra training in? Or do you feel that the amount of training you have at the moment is suffice?
No, I believe that it's going to... The further you want to go, the more dedication you have to put into something. And like I said, at first I seen that it seemed like it was a cloud out in the field, and I wasn't never going to get through the field to make it to the cloud. But now I'm looking at it as, it's arm reach. It's what I want to put in, is what I'm going to get out of it. The Zach Gerullis fight here, this is another youngster that's looking, he got 10, close to 8 years underneath me as far as age. He's looking at me as a stepping stone to get himself ready and for the next level. And, it's just, that's where I'm at. I got a lot of the guys that are already here that are trying to come after me for the fact that, it's a good win for them. And then I got all the youngsters that think I'm a veteran and that, I'm declining as they're getting better. And I guess this is one of those fights come Saturday night that I'm going to show them that the lion doesn't worry about the cub.
Now,
So.
do you like having that target on you, so to speak? You know, the fact that people will see you in, like you said there, you're a great kind of marker for them to push them out, to push their name out there a bit more. Do you like having that? Does that kind of fire you up, so to speak, having that target?
I pretty much fight every fight as I'm going in there to win, no matter who it is or what they are, or up and coming or before. Even veterans, I'm not worried about where they've been, who they fought. I'm going there to fight my fight and stick to my game plan, and as long as I do that, 90% of the time I walk out of there with my hand raised. So.
And I'm sure when you come to face Zach, that it's going to be a very entertaining matchup. You know, the two of you are certainly two guys who are going to look to put on a showcase for the fans.
Yeah, he's looking to come after me. I took a fight in KC. They were going to send me back to fight out there in KC. There was a couple guys out there that, they was looking to match me up with. When I had another promotion look me up to take a fight, Rob with Shamrock said, "Hey, there's somebody here that wants to fight you right here in St. Louis." And I was surprised that Zach, was ready to jump on this as a pro. I feel like, for him, like I said, he thinks it's a stepping stone. It's a way for him to move up the rankings, but I think he just jumped on it a little too fast. I ain't saying that he's not going to be a good opponent. I'm not saying that he ain't got a lot he's bringing to the table. I just think that he's just going to, he jumped up and he's biting off a little more than he can chew at this point. He's still young, still got a lot to learn, and I think that, in all aspects of MMA, I'm better than him. So come next Saturday night, we're going to see it all happen.
Well, do you know what? He's eager. That's a good thing, that he's eager to fight. And the fact that it is a learning curve MMA anyway. So maybe he has to, take this fight, and it has to be a learning curve. It will be a great experience for him, and probably be a nice eye-opener as well for him. So, do you know what? At least, you had someone who's got the balls to take the fight. That's the thing I always say. Kudos to the guy who says it.
No, I agree 100%. I think, like I said, I understand that, he's young in his career, and, it's probably more of probably his training camp that's pushing him, to jump up to take a fight of this caliber, knowing that it's only his second pro fight, and knowing the caliber of fighters that he fought as an amateur. Not saying that he didn't fight the top of the tier, but a lot of the guys that he did fight were up-and-comers, new guys just like him. So to really push the pace in a fight, I don't think that there's been too many he's had in front of him that's going to do that. So all kudos to him coming out and trying to step up to the big leagues, and make a run at what he wants to do, but he just picked the wrong guy on Saturday night.
Well, look, I can't wait to see what happens on the weekend. I can't wait to see how the fight goes between you and Zach. I will be keeping an eye on it when I can, because I'm actually away, so my accessibility to find results is going to be a bit limited, but I'll do my best. But anyone who does want to watch the fight can go to the Shamrock FC website page, and you can find links there to stream it. Now, before I let you go, do you want to give everyone a mention of your social media so anyone can give you a follow, or if you have any Facebooks and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Bo Kunz, and you can find me underneath athlete page on Facebook as Bo Bad News Kunz, and just look me up, like it, share it, and all the fighter information's there, photos are there, and results are always end up on the internet. So there's a place to look it up, and for all your other St. Louis MMA news, you can look up knucklejunkies.com.
Yes, Knuckle Junkies. That's a very good site. I've used them before. Very good site, sir. And do you have any sponsors that are helping you out?
Yeah, I have a shout out to Neighbors Exterior Solutions. There's so many of them. There's just everybody that supports me know who you are. I just want to say thank you to my friends, family, and all my sponsors. They're all been with me through this crazy last 6 years of doing it, and they all support me, and I thank you all. Love you.
Well, look, Bo, thank you very much for talking with me. It's been a pleasure. Have a great fight against Zach. Enjoy the whole time with Shamrock FC. And here's to a very explosive and successful and bountiful 2016.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Darryl Cobb, thank you very much for joining me. You're taking on Gerald Thomas at Shamrock FC on the 20th February. It's literally around the corner. I would imagine all you're doing now is looking at food, wishing you could eat it, and wanting to have a pizza. I suppose you're just watching, you're just watching the clock tick down, I imagine.
Well, actually, my weight ain't too bad. You know, I don't have a bad cut at 185. 170 is where, you know, at the last few pounds, it gets kind of shaky a little bit. But 185, I'm pretty good, so I'm not too much worried about weight cutting. I'm disciplined enough and been in the game long enough to know how to cut weight and not worry about those things. Very important.
Yeah. I was going to say, because with the weight cutting, do you see yourself sticking at 185? Do you see that's something you want to do in the future? Because a lot of guys now, you're going to start to see more guys going back up the weight class just to stick around their weight classes because of commission starting to bring in the IV bands and just more, you know, science being put into it with the brain damage and stuff. Do you see yourself wanting to stick around at 185?
Yeah, 185 is definitely my weight. You know, I started off, you wouldn't believe, I started off at 205, but I never weighed over 200 pounds. Well, I'm lying. Before I started fighting, I was a bodybuilder, and I was up to like 220. You know, I'm 5'9", 220 pounds of muscle. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then when I started fighting, you know, I got at 198, no more than 200, and I'm fighting guys at 205, and you know, it was rough for me, so I went down to 185 for a while, and that really went well. And I said, well, you know what? Let me try 170, and I did a few fights at 170, and I like 185 better. You know,
yeah.
It's just I still feel fast, but I still have my power as well.
Yeah, there is a kind of point of diminishing return at a certain weight class, especially people don't realise that if you're going from 205 to 185, that's already 20 pounds. Then you go from 185 to 170, that's another 15 pounds. That's a lot. That's 35 pounds in total there. It's quite a lot to take into account. And, you know, you think, guy, you have to do it possibly to experiment. Literally, Darryl, you are speaking exactly what I did. I used to fight at 205, and I would be roughly around 203. You know, I would never really break 206 that much. And then I went down to 185, and then I tried 170, and I'm like you, mate, when it gets to that 170, it's not nice.
Yeah, you have no energy, like, for real. Like, I mean, what I would do, like, at 185, I can go 35-minute rounds and be good, but it seemed like the second round, just when I fought I had cut to 170 when I fought on Fight Masters. You remember that show for Bellator?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Fight Masters, I fought AJ Matthews.
Yeah.
And the middle of the second round is when I felt gassed. I won the first round, he won the second round, and then the third round, you know, he obviously won, but I was really gassed that third round, and I had never felt like that. But the first time I cut to 170, I was at 169 when I weighed in. So I did an appropriate cut. However, I think my body wasn't used to it, and I just couldn't adjust, you know. Yeah,
it is one of them things. I think you have to do it to know if your body's going to react well or poorly to it. Because, like you say, mate, I did the cut. My body, I don't think, agreed with the 170. I remember weighing in for my last time, and my body was cramping up. I literally couldn't hold a knife and fork because my hands would cramp, my forearms would cramp up trying to hold a knife and fork. I remember I was lying in a hotel bed, and I just didn't move all day on a Friday after weighing in, and then on a Saturday, the only time I moved was to go and get food. Other than that, I just lay in bed because I just literally didn't have it in me. It just literally wrecked my body.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it is, mate. And do you know what? The fact that you found one, you know, I probably will go. I might, if I'm going to do 170, I'd have to get my walking weight down lower if I'm to do 170 again. I might.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I might do 185. I don't know at the moment. I'm humming and hawing myself. But with yourself, you want to go to 185. You feel more comfortable. Now, for you, I think the biggest thing, clearly, is getting a bit of consistency with your fighting, because since 2010, you've not had a lot of consistent fights. It's more sporadic. Is that due to injuries or work commitments or anything like that?
It's work commitments. Like, I've been working ever since the entire fight game. People don't know my history. I started training when I was 24, and that's the only training I had. Never had any boxing, never had any wrestling, never had any jiu-jitsu or nothing. I just started Muay Thai kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and a little wrestling with Jermaine Andre, you know. And I was such a tough guy, had such a big heart as far as not giving a F, you know what I mean? I didn't care. And I learned and I listened. I made it as far as I did, I didn't have a manager or nothing like that. I was out there and we did it old school. We go out there and we fought, we fought and we won. We fought some tough guys. But I've always worked. See, I'm a full-time father, and at one point I was a single father, you know what I'm saying? The mom wasn't around, so I had to make sure I took care of the kids. I told myself that I wouldn't be selfish to them, because the fight game is hit and miss, it's not a guarantee or anything, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't risk, plus my job, I'm a heavy equipment operator. I got like A1 health insurance, so they don't have to worry about anything. My insurance pays for everything, so that was more important to me than the fighting. At one point, when I won the Iron Ring, I was ready to say, you know what, this is my time. All I need to do is get somebody to pick me up, point me in the right direction, and keep me consistent. And I had enough to where, like, my union was back behind me. They backed me up, and I had it to where if I had got the right management, I could have had a very successful, well, I ain't gonna say successful, I have a successful career, but a very consistent career.
Yeah.
Even when I went to Ultimate Fighter, and you remember when Kimbo Slice got on Ultimate Fighter?
Yep.
Do you remember that? Yeah, well, before they elected him, it was Jaeger on there. You remember Jaeger with the afro?
Yeah, rings a bell.
Jaeger. We was in Vegas. We got selected, and they sent us to Vegas. So I was like one step away from going into fighting to get into Ultimate Fighter House, and they ended up casting Kimbo Slice. There was another time where if I had made it there, I could have, been a consistent fighter.
Yeah.
I felt confident at that point. It didn't go that way,
No.
It didn't go that way. So what I did was I stayed busy as I could within reason of what's going on around with my sons and all that. So that's what it was. No injuries. I don't have really no serious injuries. I pretty much fight smart. I don't get hurt too much. My pride has gotten hurt a few times, but I don't get injured too much.
Yeah.
Pretty small injuries. Every fighter gets small. I'm just talking about as far as serious injuries. I don't. So I've been blessed there. It's just the consistency, just because I have my kids and I got that health insurance, and I want to make sure I have something stable for them. And if something happens that comes out of this, then so be it. If not, then it'd be a time where I'm like, okay, I'm 45 years old. I think I need to hang it up.
Yeah. Hey, look, it sounds like you made smart decisions. That's the thing. You're making smart decisions because outside of the cage there is external factors which make a big difference, man. And look, the things that have happened though, let's say the past few fights, you want to turn things around. Ideally, you want to have a 2016 where we get to see yourself coming out your shell and getting back to that killer instinct that you had. What do you think is missing? What do you think it is that's that you need to put in performance wise to bring back the old you, so to speak, that to get this winning formula back?
Oh, you did. That's a very good question. I love that question because me and Tyron Woodley, we've been training a lot lately, and he's actually been training with me my entire camp, and that's what we talked about a lot, about bringing that old Darryl Cobb back, you know. What happened to that? And that's one of the reasons I'm doing the K1 kickboxing. Because where I lost it was I started worried about all these guys are good wrestlers and people, you know, outside of, you know, fans and some people close to me. Oh, Darryl, you're not excited enough. Darryl, you got to do this, man. You got to learn how to do this better. And I got caught up in the hype of trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at first I didn't give a F. You know what I mean? I didn't care. You know, I'm going to do me. But I got caught up in it because the more, the bigger the promotions, the more people talk, and the more you sit there and you question yourself at times. If you like me, you know, I'm like, man, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. I want to, you know, because you got people close to you, man, and people close to you that you think that's your closest to you, you listen to them because you look up to them or whatever. And I had to learn F what they talking about. You got to do what's best for you. So I'm going back to identify myself with the K1. That's why I'm doing K1. Striking was my biggest threat. Like, I had people scared to death of me because they didn't want to get in that cage across from getting hit by this cat, you know, and that's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had one of the greatest sprawls out there, you know what I'm saying? God couldn't get me. You know, so it was one of them things where I got to get back to that. Get back to my roots. Get back to knowing that you are the ish, you know what I'm saying? You're not one of these just local fighters. You've been nationally around the United States, you know what I'm saying? People know you internationally. They've seen you in Africa and stuff like that. So, you know, you need to get a hold of yourself and step outside of your box and say, hey, man, get back to where you're not giving an F no more. You know, let's go on there and let's do what we do best. And that's what I need to do, and that's what I'm working on.
It sounds like you've got that mindset of, you know, sticking to what basically your strongest asset, which you feel is clearly your stand-up, and then all you want to do is sprawl if the guy shoots in because he doesn't like the fact that you're beating him up. Sprawl, get up, carry on, and that's the thing. I think fighters should do that. I think if a fighter has got a strong skill set, like you say, K1, kickboxing, Muay Thai, you know, if you're good with your hands and feet, keep the fight standing. If it falls to the ground, then use your defense to get you back to where you want it to be.
Clearly, this is the way I feel about that. Like, physically and the know-how and the technique, you know, I have, especially training with Tyron Woodley and American Top Team. You know, they have brought the wrestling and everything to another level for me. You know, so it's all about Darryl having the confidence that stuff works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all I'm doing now, you know, my little secret, but I tell everybody, you know, just because I'm not fighting MMA doesn't mean I'm not training MMA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm training it, but, you know, I'm focusing on what made Darryl what is Darryl, but I'm still training and stuff. I'm still going through the motions.
Yeah.
So when that fight does come in MMA, it'll be a huge surprise, or people be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, this dude been in the vault, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He been in the trenches and he been working, you know. So yeah, it's just getting the confidence. That's all, man. Cause we doing the work.
Aye, absolutely. So, have you got an idea? Are you just looking to do several K1 bouts and then come back and do MMA? Have you got a rough idea when you want to do that, or are you just playing it by ear?
I definitely want to get a few more K1 fights under my belt, but it's more playing by ear. You know, you gotta remember, like, now we gotta choose the best fight that make more sense for me. You know, I'm not just want to be just fighting just to be fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta make sense. With me doing what I'm doing, if the fight makes sense, then yes, I'll do an MMA fight, knowing that it's worth the risk is the reward is more than the risk.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's how it gotta be. I gotta be smart about this anymore. You know, just because I'm training don't mean I need to take any kind of fight.
Yeah.
So time being, you know, I am doing K1, so it's almost playing it by ear. But, you know, I still want to get a few K1s under my belt.
Yeah. All right, that's fine, man. That sounds like a good idea. Sounds like you've got a good plan to get, the kind of method that worked and won those fights before. And look, before I let you shoot off, before I let you get ready and maybe go off to go and relax or train, can you give myself and everyone at home any social media to follow you on, just so we can follow this 2016 resurgence, let's say?
Okay, yeah, my Instagram is devastate_DC, devastate_DC. Then my Facebook is just Darryl Cobb. You look up Darryl Cobb, is the guy that's slipping a punch. I like to give a shout out to Ron Smith Muay Thai, Andre the Academy, World Champion Jermaine Andre, and he just came out with released his book today on Amazon. It's called Muay Tiger, the Cub and the Beast. You gotta get it. Dope book. And my man Tyron Willie, hey, they need to go ahead and get that man a shot. He's been working hard. You need the title shot. He's getting busy, but I really like to thank American Top Team and Tyron Willie for being there, as he's been a very, very, very important piece in the puzzle. And my man Troy White. And Shamrock FC, Jesse Finney, Rob Donaker, them guys really been treating me right, man. So I really appreciate everybody out there and all my fans and everybody out there that's supporting me, man. I appreciate you guys and coming and put on the show. Like I said in my last interview, I'm coming to show some inside work. Nobody's ever seen me do the inside joint, so I'm coming to do some inside work.
Hey, look, I look forward to seeing how the fight goes down. Have a great time at the Shamrock FC card. I know, like I said there, Jesse, they look after the guys. They look after everyone there. You're going to have a fantastic weekend. Darryl, thank you so much for giving me some of your time to talk. And all I can say is have a great 2016, man. And there you go. That was, like I say, Zach, Bo, and Darryl. That was them fighting on this weekend. And I'm going to move next up to there's an upcoming UFC card in Pittsburgh. And this has had bigger hits than I could imagine, really. It's a shame, like, for example, the main event was meant to be Donald Cerrone against Tim Means. Tim Means got injured. Alex Oliveira stepped in. They call it Cowboy versus Cowboy. Not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. It's Donald versus Alex. But we'll start the bump again. You had Lauren Murphy's opponent fell out. Then you had Kelly Vaz-Hools, who stepped up. That's a fight worth looking out for especially for Lauren Murphy. She's not had luck in the UFC. Well, she has bad luck, but I'm interested to see how she can perform in this fight. Again, Ashley Evans Smith is back after a little spell out. You've got her against Marone Reneu, who had that surprisingly poor performance against Holly Holmes. I expect a lot more in that fight. So those two women's fights are definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Other fights on the card worth checking out on, I feel. You have got Alex Garcia against Sean Strickland. That'll probably be a good fight to tune in for. Certainly James Krause taking on Shane Campbell. That is certainly a 155 bout you want to keep an eye out for. A potential pink slip fight, though. There's a couple on this card, actually, but there's a couple of guys who have to be treading carefully with this. You have Joe Riggs against Chris Camozzi. Not for Chris Camozzi, but for Joe Riggs. He's 2 losses. He won a fight because of against Ron Stallings because of an illegal up kick. I think that if you take that away, if he loses to Chris Camozzi, you might see Joe Riggs go. And then another fight that got an opponent change was Cody Garbrandt. Absolutely devastated. He was meant to fight John Lineker, and John Lineker got injured, or was it ill? No, he got ill. Sorry, he fell ill. But Augusto Mendes has stepped in now, a name who to many will probably go right under the radar, but he is a world class grappling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist, and he's 5-0 as a mixed martial artist. He's one of them guys he's finding it difficult to get people to match up with him because of him being so dangerous with his grappling. This probably suits Cody because Cody's I feel that Cody's got very good footwork, very good hands. He could certainly keep this on the feet. You'll probably see Augusto trying to shoot in to close that gap, get him against the cage, grind it down to the ground. Then when he gets to the ground, I think that's when Cody might have to be a bit careful here. Next match again, another potential pink slip. You have Dennis Bermudez against Tashui Kawajiri, that's it. Now, Dennis Bermudez losing 2 fights. Kawajiri's on a win streak. For Dennis, this probably isn't the preferred fight for him, but he'll fight killers. It's what Dennis Bermudez does. You know, he doesn't go on half-hearted fights. I just think Dennis Bermudez, if I was him, you want to play it not safe, but you probably want to try and get a decision win just to get the win out of the way and then move on to the next fight and then think about maybe taking a bit more risks in the fight afterwards. Co-main event, you have Derek Brunson against Ronan Canario. I like the matchup. 2 middleweights who are, you know what, if you think about it, they're 2 perennial good potential pushing the top 10 contenders. I think it's going to be a cracking fight. It's certainly one to keep an eye out for. You might get some fireworks there. Again, the main event, Donald Cerrone against Alex Oliveira. If I'm honest, I think Donald Cerrone's going to go through Alex Oliveira. The reason why I feel that way is because Donald Cerrone, for me, is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's always just going to be in that top 3, top 5, kind of the lightweights. Well, he was lightweight, then he's gone to welterweight now, but he's always going to be at that kind of standard. I think it's going to be hard to for Donald Cerrone to lose to guys like Alex Oliveira, who's on a win streak, don't get me wrong, but I just feel that Cerrone has more tools and will probably stop him in this fight. So that's that UFC card in Pittsburgh that's going down on Sunday. Not Saturday, Sunday, just to let you all know. Now, I'm going to finish off with just 2 more interviews. Hold up. Nearly finished. I've got Sean Carter. He's fighting, like I say, Aldric Cassata. I said that earlier on. At the BCMMA card this weekend at Colchester. It's going to be a great fight, a great card. You've got Luke Barnett, who we've had on, John Maguire, Luis Gonzalez. There's a handful of great, talented fighters on there. So here is Sean Carter talking now. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by Sean Carter, who's taken on Aldric Cassata at this upcoming BCMMA card. Now, I'd call it a Cage Warriors veteran match, but I tell you what, for local UK MMA, it's a hell of a stacked card.
Oh yeah, it's a great card. It's a great card. There's lots of good guys on that card. It's a card that I suppose you could put like all of them guys on like any UK card, and they'd deserve their place wherever it was, you know.
Yeah, I love the fact that when I heard the card getting rolled out and the names kept coming, I was really excited about it. You know, I thought it was a great move by BCMMA. They're starting to make really intriguing UK matchups in the sense that these matchups have an effect on the UK MMA scene. Again,
yeah,
BCMMA they're just building anyway. Obviously, it's still early days with BCMMA, but I tell you what, you can see the progression of it already.
I think it's just. I think obviously with Jack coming on board, Jack's. I lose count of how many fights he's had, like maybe 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of fights and he's fought on a lot of shows, and it is what hopefully people want to see, and people on the show get treated the way that Jack. Jack's probably been treated from like absolute, lowest of the low to being treated like right up there, like really well. So he tries to make the fight show as comfortable and smooth running for fighters, so they're not waiting around and all the normal hassles you don't want. And then also he puts on fights, where you've got 2 guys in there that are gonna go for each other, as opposed to sometimes you see, one-sided affairs.
Yeah. I say they're catered for a certain opponent. Some fights. Yeah, it happens. It's an ugly side of the sport, which I suppose we've just got to hopefully in time weed out. You know, you get the local guy, and they'll try to make sure they get someone in who's less favourable.
Yeah, you know, this is a part of the sport. You know, people, you know, they want to, but you know, they want to build a fighter. They want to build a, you know, a promotion. I do understand that they have to do it. You know,
yeah.
You know, but hopefully, you know, BCMMA have sort of got it to a good point where, you know, there's, you know, you never, like, from watching the shows in the past, you never sit there and go, oh, like, you know, this guy's a div and this guy's a, you know, an absolute badass. You know, it's always, you know, you've always got people in there, you know, with a skill set, you know, so that's what people come and see. That's what people want to see, you know, so that makes for a good show.
Oh, mate, it does. And, you know, they put an effort as well into the amateur ranks. You know, they have championship belts. They put a nice emphasis on the amateurs as well. You see, and I love that. You know, I think it's great because the amateur scene, you know, it's crazy. You think about when you started as a pro, what the amateur scene was like then to now, it's chalk and cheese.
Oh, yeah, like, it's like, when I competed amateur, I had, for example, like, I had 4 amateurs, and I turned up at the event each time, got read 4 different sets of rules. So each amateur fight I fought under 4 different rule sets.
Yeah.
4 different time sets.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a mishmash of gloves as well. So it was like, 4s, 6s, you know, whatever's, you know. So like, and I was only an amateur for a little while. It was so out of 4 fights, I fought under 4 different times and 4 different rule sets. So it's and now you're getting things, you know, a lot better, and you know they're treated to like the same as like the pro guys. Really, they weigh in a little bit later, but apart from that, that's they're like the same as expected of them. So
yeah, it's great, isn't it? I love it, mate. I think it's like you say. I was the same as you. I remember doing amateur stuff and the rulings and everything. It was just, it was crazy. I knew that with one show I was doing certain rules. If I went to another one, it'd be different, and it would mess your head, because if you train for one show, you'd have to learn to you have to stop doing certain things, like let's say heel hooks, obviously, and stuff like that, and cranks. But then some shows would allow like a toe hold, but some shows wouldn't. So then it was just little things like that. You'd have to start to remember which one, and you could easily get caught out with them. Oh, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, definitely. I remember training for, on one show in particular, I remember training for 2 5s. That was what I was training for. And I turned up and it was 3 3s. And I was just like, that's a bit weird. But
yeah, mate, there was some crazy rule. Do you know what? I love the fact there is, like you say, the amateurs are being treated like professionals. You know, they're taking it a lot more serious, and the standard goes up now.
Yeah, and with the, I always say this wrong,
MMA. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
With that and all the competitions, you know, there's, you know, it's obviously like a little bit difficult with finance, I think, like a few guys have said, but it's very young, you know, it's only been going a couple of years, like, you know, you've got people, you know, you've got almost, hopefully, like you do with the amateur boxing, you know, you have a, you know, possibly, you might have like a, you know, a southern area, like northern area, central area sort of way onto like a British Eliminator thing onto like, you know, representing, you know, the UK or England or however you want to play it, as an amateur sport, which would be great, you know.
Yeah, it's great. It is great experience as well. You know, they get to go to Vegas if they can, obviously, for that fight week and that international fight week, and they have the World Championships. Then that's something that you know. That's mate. Imagine that. Imagine when we were doing amateurs, someone said to us we could go and do that. I'd be biting their leg off.
Yeah, it's you know, it's good. You know, like the you know, without getting too like Mr. Miyagi and like getting too philosophical about things, you know. You know, you look at where the sport, sort of modern day, as you know, has come in, you know, 20 years. You know, it's a really big, it's a really steep curve, you know.
Yes.
So and it's still really a minority sport. So
yeah, it is, mate. Who was I speaking to about it? I think I was speaking with Jeremy Clump about it. He works in the States, does journalism, and we were talking about that. The bubble. We are in an MMA bubble, and everyone you know loves MMA. So when you actually when you step out of that bubble and you meet someone and they go, "What's MMA?" and you don't have a clue about any of it, you forget. That's when reality hits and you go, "Yeah, this sport is still nowhere near as big as I think it is."
Yeah, exactly. Everyone like goes, "Oh, you know, MMA, like it's football."
Yeah.
Like no one, you know, like even as far as, I don't know, if you talk about, I don't know, Conor McGregor or John Jones or something like that, you know, even up at that level, you know, people still don't know them like they know who Lionel Messi is.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the same level. If you went up to, you know, 50 blokes just in the street,
yeah,
you know, I reckon 50 of them would know who Lionel Messi is, you know.
Yeah.
And then less would know who like the MMA guys were.
Yeah, fraction. Yeah, it's crazy. Like it really is. I remember it hit home with me when I was spending a bit of time with a lady friend. And I thought, oh, I know, I'll link in Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey's done movies. She's done, you know, all this stuff like that. I thought, oh, I'll use that. Do you know who? And she didn't have a clue who Ronda Rousey was. Not one iota, not one little bit of it. And I thought,
no,
yeah, still not there.
People don't, you know. To the point where, like, and also sometimes people know so little about it that, you know, Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
And he's you know, he's still the second best MMA fighter in his village.
Yeah, definitely.
Because because people, I forget the guy's name, but there's another guy that's won a world championship on, I don't know, like, I'm the hardest dude in my road fighting championships or something, and everyone thinks that he's the number one guy in the village.
Arnold needs put in his place. It's fine. He's only young. He'll learn.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like the general bod, like you say, a lot of the time don't know anything about it, and if they do, like a lot of the time they're not as clued up as we think everyone else is.
Yeah,
you know,
it's crazy. Yeah, and you know, you yourself, like you say, you've seen the evolution. Didn't you? You went off to TriStar recently, haven't you? And done a little bit of playing around there, let's say.
Yeah. I went over and trained TriStar for 3 weeks. You know, it's a good experience and stuff. You know, they've you know, it's obviously one of the big teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, in the world of MMA. You know, it was place in the dorms, and I just went about my business, basically.
When you were there then, obviously you trained in the UK, going somewhere different, was it more like, was it refreshing in a way? Was it like, because you almost like starting anew, because you're training with, apart from Arnold, you know, there's some guys you'll not have trained with, you'll know guys, but obviously the coaching, they've got different mentality, they've got different set ways. Was it was it like a refresher to you? Did it almost like it reignite you in a way? Because you can have the same coaches where you are, but then when you go somewhere else, it can also, you know, start something different inside you.
Do you know what? It was a great experience. It's basically the main difference is the number of high level partners.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, at one time or another, there's like always like 10, 15 guys that are in the UFC. You know, and then you've obviously got like your big marquee names there as well. You know, that have, you know, gone to the highest of the high, that sort of are about the gym. But the other thing is, like, even the guys that are like, say, not in the UFC or whatever, or like just do like the submission grappling, or just do like the jiu-jitsu or whatever, they're all super high level. So you go, and it's just like, if you know, you could go there and you could do like 10 rounds with 10 new, like with 10 different lightweights, and they would all be, you know, good. That's the main difference. Like, like with at our place, for example, you know what I mean. If you know, if one guy stubbed his toe, the other guy's ill, and you know, someone's having a rest week because they've just fought.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly the gym starts to look a little bit.
It's a bit thin.
Yeah,
it's just thin with numbers. Yeah.
It's just, you know, like the numbers. It's just, there's just high level sparring. You know, like the whole time.
So I was going to say,
just high level sparring. There's obviously high level coaching as well.
Yeah.
But the main difference was the number of high level training partners, and obviously like top quality coaching as well. You know, obviously.
Yeah, I'd imagine that would make a difference, because if you're obviously you got to think about each kind of club. If you're not like ATT, or if you're not TriStar, if you're not Alliance, if you're not one of these, or Team Alpha Male, deemed as one of these big clubs, if you're the local, there is a restricted number of fighters you'll have. So, for example, my club had, let's think, there was me, I was the only guy who was over £200 competing. You had another guy who was down at welterweight competing, and then from then onwards you had a guy down at 155, a guy down at, then you had a few at 145, and then that was it really. It was really spread out, the weight classes. So, you know, for me, I found it difficult because I couldn't roll against guys who were my size. You know, everyone was small and quick, but then again, the guys who were maybe a bit smaller in the 155 and stuff, they couldn't find that many guys that were their size as well, so they'd have to be lumped with me, and I would just lay on them and go, I'll just lie down here for 3 minutes. Roll, okay, awesome, I'll move on now. So it does make a difference, you know, and it's not even being, you know, negative. It's just there is a restriction in what you can do when you've only got so many numbers, because you can only have so many in that area probably going to there. But when you've got the mega gyms, you know, everyone flocks there. It's like a magnet, so you're going to get, like you say, that consistency of high level guys. When you were competing with them, how you know, did you find that it improved yourself because of, you know, you having to keep on your toes all the time?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, definitely. Like you know, there's never like sometimes with, you know, not being disrespectful You know, even the guys that have to like, for example, like this brother, there was one guy there, and he was living in the dorms, fella Mario, and he'd like go to work. You know, he's not in the UFC, so he'd go to work, and then he'd like do the early shift at work, so he could get to the pro session for 12. You know, he'd do the pro session, and then he'd get back, and then he'd go straight back to work. You know, like, so there was always, everyone had like the mindset of going, you know, like they want to get to training. There's never like a, you know, like I just missed today or whatever.
Yeah.
And like that guy wasn't even fighting. You know.
Yes.
He, that was just what he did, and you know, and sometimes like it. Obviously, we've got people of that mindset in the gym, like at our gym at BKK. But you know, it's, you know, there's 2 or 3 of them. You know, where there's 30 at TriStar.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's huge, crazy. And obviously, with the training that you did over there, you probably came back then with some little nuggets to even pass on to your teammates. Because obviously, if you improve the people around you, it improves yourself.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's the that's, you know, that is, you know, you hopefully you're not building, you know, students or whatever. You're building like training partners.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I picked up a few little things. You know, like I worked with there was a wrestling coach out there, Matt Miller. I did some sessions with him, sort of picked his brain a little bit. Obviously, you're doing lessons with for us, a hubby does.
Yeah.
You know, sort of takes the pro sessions, and then his younger brother Eamon teaches in the mornings as well. And I would do his classes. So you know, you're gonna pick things up 100%, along with all the little like snippets of advice that were given to me, like from the other guys, like that I sparred with. They were like, oh, like maybe try this, do that, keep this here, pressure here.
Yeah.
You know, that was really good. You know.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them ones where you're there for 3 weeks. You just literally got to be a sponge and just take in as much as you can and just soak it all up, and then use it. And obviously now you've got this fight coming up, and you can literally go into the fight now with the fact that you know you've just been training with killers constantly. But does that make you relax a little bit more when you come into the fight? Because obviously you want to do 2016, you want to come into this fight and, you know, you want to rectify, you know, a couple of silly fit losses that you know, I'm not saying the judging was poor, but let's just say, you know, you want to rectify 2015 with a good win in 2016 to start off with, and plus knowing that Cage Warriors is coming back, it's also probably another incentive, I'd imagine.
You know, 100%. You know, I'm going to go out there and, you know, last year I had a dip, and I basically just didn't show what I was capable of doing, and you know, for whatever reason, you know, and I'm going out this Saturday. I'm going to show people, you know, show everyone what I'm capable of doing, and you know, that will result in me getting my hand raised, most definitely. You know. Yeah,
exactly. Cause I know what you can do. So I've watched your stuff before, and you know, I think with an absolute stellar performance this weekend, you could go up again. You can go back in the Cage Warriors, and I tell you what, you can have some excellent fights matched up with you there.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's hang on 1 second. I'm on the phone. Yeah, so it's like not looking past anything. You know, I've got a tough challenge on Saturday, so I'm 100. You know, I'm 100% concentrated on that. But obviously, you know, if things coming up on the horizon, you know, it's I'll be ready to take them opportunities as well. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you got this fight coming up, and he is an experienced competitor, and he's not someone to take lightly, because he has got, like you say, with experience, you learn tricks, you learn little things. He'll have some tricks up his book. He has got a record of getting those decision wins. He's the kind of guy that can grind out a 3-rounder.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's definitely something that you got to keep. But the thing is, I think because you've been training with guys at TriStar, I just think we're going to see a different kind of, Sean Carter coming up with this, because it will obviously train with them guys. Will give you a bit more knowledge, and also a confidence thing to know that you've been sparring with guys who are who are fighting in the UFC, which that's always got to be a pick me up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just, I'm ready. I'm prepared. Like, the training's been good, so I just got to go out there and let it all hang out on Saturday. That's basically, like, no holding back. Just get things done.
I wouldn't let it all hang out, mate, because they might arrest you for that. Yeah. Do it after. I'll probably
go like 90% hanging out.
Let 90. That'll do. That'll be fine.
and then save the 100% for like after the fight.
Yeah, the after
really
party. Hey, Sean, look, dude. Look, have a great fight. I can't watch it this weekend. I can't watch it on. It's going to be.
What's wrong with you people?
The reason why I can't watch it, I've got a legit reason. I will be. I'm tied up with the British Army, mate. This weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's no streaming in the tent or something.
Nah, mate. Nah. We've just got to get up in sleeping bags together and cuddle up. So that's yeah. So we go 100% there.
Sounds cozy.
Yeah. So I've got an excuse for not being able to watch it. I won't be able to find out the results until Sunday night. Like 9 o'clock onwards. I won't be able to find the results, mate.
No problems. I'm sure you'll be able to catch up on it.
I will do, but I'm sure you can watch it, ladies and gentlemen, on MMATV.com, I think it is, or .co.uk, or MMA.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's if you go on the BCMMA Facebook page or the Twitter, go on there. It will have the link on. But before I let you go, Sean, what's your social media stuff so people can jump on and give you a follow, mate?
Okay, so on Twitter, I am Sexy Curls MMA, and the same for Instagram. On Sexy Curls MMA, Sexy Curls MMA, all over the place, basically.
Yeah, so jump on, give him a follow. I follow him. You should all follow him as well. And what about, buddy, your sponsors? You got any sponsors there helping you out?
I'm lucky enough to have got quite a few, and I always forget one. So I'm going to try and get them all in. So I've got E-Protein that look after all my supplements, which they do a great job with that. I've got Octagon Wear that supply me with kit, which is very thankful for that. Almighty Fightwear that deal with all my fight shorts and like walkout tees, so they do really good custom stuff. So check them out for that. I've got Valor Fightwear, which is a jiu-jitsu and no-gi brand. So if you compete or just do any sort of jiu-jitsu, check them out. Funky Gums, keeping my teeth in my face, which is always handy. And I think that is it. I know I would have forgot one of them, and I'm going to get a telling off. And of course, obviously, all the guys at BKK Fighters, all the guys at Progressive Martial Arts, and all the guys at Champions Gym. So they're the gyms that I do predominantly all of my training at. And of course, at Powering Through at my gym, which is I do my strength and conditioning. And so that's everyone, I think.
There you go. I mean, trust me, I've had guys. I remember we had Scott Askin on, and he couldn't remember his sponsors. He had to go and find his fight poster. This was before the UFC deal came in, and he had to go and find a fight poster to get banner, to find his sponsors to go through them. Honestly, you get loads of guys like it. They just sit there and go, "Yeah, I'm gonna forget one."
Yeah,
it happens.
It's not. I think I've got all of them, but if I have forgot one, I apologise. Please don't drop. You know.
Hey, Sean, thanks very much for your time. Again, mate, have a great fight and just enjoy your weekend, buddy.
Thanks, dude. You enjoy yourself. Everyone tune in.
Yes.
Everyone tune in.
Tune in. Not just for Sean, but just for the card itself as well. It's a stellar card. Hell of a good stack. Lots of fights there. Get in, get watching. If you're not at the event itself, watch it live. Like I said, go on the BCMA Facebook page, Twitter page. You'll see all the links and get watching, folks. And there was Sean. It was great having him on. Awesome dude. Check him out on social media. He does put a lot of postings on Instagram and stuff like that. It's quite cool. And I'm going to now go to the last guest who's part of like the last segment, who's part of the segment of the roundup, so to speak, the conversational piece where we talk about, you know, matters or kind of things that are going on in MMA, not just in the cage outside. I have Chuck Mindenhall. Like I said, he works at SBN Nation or MMAfighting.com. He's part of the quartet of the MMA Beat. Great guy. Absolute pleasure and joy to have him on. So we talk, like I say, we talk about a couple of subject matters. So here is Chuck and me talking. I am joined now with Chuck Mindenhall. He is the man with the hat, even though you can't see it right now. I'm sure you're wearing a lovely hat. Thank you, firstly, Chuck, for talking with us. And let's say you work with SB Nation, MMA Fighting, you do lots of writing, let's put it this way. You're a man of many words. And do you want to put out, is that a good way to put what you do? You're a journalist, MMA journalist. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, you know something, man. I'm always. All these people call themselves journalists. I'm a little bit more of the writer ilk. I consider myself a writer, and I guess I fall into the category as a columnist. But ultimately, it all falls under the umbrella of journalism. So whatever you want to call me, man, I fall under all of those things. And
you're also one of the linchpins in the MMA Beat, which many people will know you from. And I've got you to come and talk, and we're just going to not talk about fights that are coming up, because there's always lots of fights going on. But let's talk about Rampage Jackson. Let's start with that, because it came out, for me, I think it came out of nowhere. No one was talking about it for a long time, and then all of a sudden it gets announced that he's back at Bellator to kind of commit to his contract that he had originally signed with. I think this for Bellator, it's great for Bellator personally.
Yeah, this is one of those things that was sort of a black eye a little bit under the Scott Coker era. He kind of comes in, and one of the pieces they lost as he was kind of gaining steam it seemed to be Quentin Rampage Jackson, who now it seems like he cameoed at UFC 186 in Montreal. You know what I mean? It's like one of these weird scenarios where it was kind of like a little reprieve to make another cameo in the UFC. But I think ultimately he had a lot of bad blood for all the contractual things that he thought had gone wrong, and it's an interesting sort of come back to where we all started for him to go back to Bellator. So good for them, especially with the amount of signings that they've been doing of late. I feel like he sort of actually means something to their roster right this minute.
Yeah, I was thinking as well, and also the fact that they've got that link with Rizin, and there's straight away rumours come about Rampage and Fedor. And the thing is, Rampage can definitely fight at heavyweight, especially not in the UFC. When you go with Bellator, their heavyweight division, they are adding to it. But with Rampage, you could stick him on Rizin, and you know that he could fight at heavyweight. It's not, the heavyweight division isn't stacked, let's say.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, he's not going to turn away a trip to Japan.
No.
That guy loves Japan. So I do feel like they can use him in a variety of ways, and kind of having that alliance, especially with guys like Fedor, because how fun would that fight be? I feel like Fedor Emelianenko, he's coming back, and he fought this other cat that nobody had heard of. Yeah. It was really not much of a dramatic thing. It was more really centrally specific for just Fedor fans and for Japan, the live audience. Yes. I thought it just didn't translate well. I don't know how it is for you guys. It didn't translate that big over here in the States. So I feel like they put a guy like Rampage Jackson against Fedor. All of a sudden, you've got something. That's a good money fight for those guys.
Yeah, and with Vanderlei's announcement of the suspension, getting the 3 years, he could go to Japan though and compete, and that's another fight there as well. So straight away you're starting to get Vanderlei, Rampage, Fedor. It starts to get a bit more interesting now, the potential matchups, and I like it though. I get quite excited about it because it's not just all about the UFC. It's these other promotions are starting to, flourish a little bit.
Yeah, it's like Pride Resurrected, right? I mean, all these guys, all these pieces back. But yeah, man, and it's kind of fun. What Bellator's got kind of going on in a couple of separate ways is, they're dusting off some of these guys who are, the legends of the sport, some of the earlier pioneers. Like, for instance, this weekend you've got the Shamrock fight. Now, that's more of a novelty fight. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's just more of the shtick. Yeah. And kind of like a true nostalgic fight, almost a circus event, I think, when it comes down to that fight. But when you talk about guys like, Rampage, who's, he's won 4 fights in a row. He did win against Maldonado in his UFC cameo that happened, what was it, back in April, so it's almost been a year ago. But he won that one as well. I feel like he's in a good place. You got Fedor, because of the resurrection of all the sort of heavyweights in the UFC, I feel like that favors him, at least perceptionally. Like, hey, man, here's another guy who could make another run. You know what I mean? Like, it's not out of the question that they could put some good fights together, and they would still have some vital elements to them, or some vitality in terms of these guys have more to offer. And you're absolutely right about Vanderlei Silva. It's going to be very interesting to see, obviously, like if he does go over there, kind of how it pans out for him. Obviously, he's not going to be able to compete until I think it's May of 2017 over in the States, and certainly not Nevada. So I feel like that might be an option. Maybe he pops up somewhere like that, but you could mix and match a lot of these guys at this point, and I think it'd be fun. And like you say, Dustin, talk about dusting guys off. Tito Ortiz is a name we've not even thrown in there. That's another interesting bout. Tito could fight any one of them 3 guys, and I'll be honest, I'd watch it. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's sort of the gimmick right now, right? It was like they're getting these guys together, and I guess even if they're in the twilight, they can either put together old vendettas, make them go at it again, or they can sort of pair up guys who never got the chance. And I mean, the diehards, us kind of guys, and anybody who just recognizes those name brands are going to tune in just to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind them because they are actually they're all in that similar stage of their careers. It's like with Shamrock and Gracie, they are of that same period. It's not like there's a 20-year gap. So I kind of don't mind it. If you said, Ken Shamrock's going to be fighting, I don't know, John Jones, I'd probably want to question it. But the fact that they're going to be around the same age, I don't mind too much. Yes, it is a circus act, but at least it's not going too extreme. They are a similar age, and look,
you're right. That's the whole thing. I think as long as they're sort of pairing them up, and there's a sort of an equality to where they're at in their careers, it makes sense. I mean, you could even look at the UFC's 205-pound division, and you have a lot of relics, or guys who are sort of now in that spot of just being name brands, going against name brands. The guys like Dan Henderson, for instance, or maybe Rashad Evans to an extent, Mauricio Shogun, who are those types of names. I mean, none of these guys, although Rashad may still have something in him for another title run, we'll see. But a lot of these guys, I feel like they're just sort of, it's based on their names and putting together fun fights. And I guess you're really looking at the same exact thing when you look at some of these matchups we're talking about.
Exactly. And look, it's a promising prospect outside of the UFC, which is what you need. Competition is good, and it's just good as well. It's good viewing, and I'll look forward to watching it. We'll go on then to new signings. Like we said, Venator in Italy. They've just been clustering a handful of guys: Sokaju, Matt Hamill, Che Mills, and obviously Mayhem Miller. That's some big names if you look at it for a promotion that, like their last card they had Jack Mason and Luke Barnett fight on it, and now all of a sudden they've just got these 4 big names. They're putting a lot of money in. I don't know who's backing them up, but you got to think 4 big names. How are they financially backing this? Hopefully it's not going to make them go bust, but I look forward to this kind of thing as well, especially in European MMA.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a unique sort of vibe over there, especially with them. I mean, did you guys see the press release they put out for Jason Mayhem Miller and all the kind of flack it got? I mean, that sort of it's sort of other level, like sort of thinking, I guess, when you got a guy who's going to write a press release like that, sort of enabling, I guess, Jason Miller. But the bottom line is, you guys are right. I mean, I feel like if you're doing something like that, very specific to a country, in this case Italy, and you're putting together this fight promotion, why not get some of these guys, like they're getting? I mean, Sokoudjou has sort of bounced around. He's almost like this global journeyman who's sort of ended up over there. But he's had some big bouts. I still feel like he's one of those guys that you look at and it's like, wow, he looks like a true fighter. Looking at him, and he has the fumes of some good fights under him. And Mayhem Miller obviously was who knows what's going to happen with that guy, but if somebody's willing to give him another shot and actually believes it's healthy for him to be in the cage, go for it. And I guess we'll see how that sort of pans out. But Matt Hamill and guys like that, obviously they've stood in there with a lot of the greats. Che Mills, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that he was on a co-main event at UFC 145. So good for them to kind of get some of these guys, and maybe I haven't really looked over their roster too carefully. I don't know if it's a lot of local guys as well, or if it's just guys from Europe. But it's a good way to match them with known names and give them names as well. Yeah, it is a lot of. They have got a local talent there, Italian fighters. And obviously, Matt Hamill, he's the only guy to beat John Jones. Yeah. Technically, that's correct, right? He was slamming his head with 6 to 12 foreheads to his elbow. It's a great way to beat someone. He'll always have that on his record. Well, Matt Hamill was on Twitter literally a few weeks back saying that he couldn't find a fight. He couldn't get a fight anywhere, and now he's got one matched up against Sokoudjou. I'm glad for him. I'm happy for him. If he still wants to compete, it's a good thing. He hasn't looked great, but I have to admit, I've always liked him. I've always thought he's a great competitor. And obviously being deaf and all the things he's had to overcome, it's cool. If he wants to keep going and he feels like he's got it in him, and he can't do it in the UFC, I think that sort of theater is perfect for him. Yes, exactly. I think if he's still got the, that intensity to want to compete, I'm all for it as well. We're going to move. I'm going to move on to. It's going to be a bit of a touchy subject, I suppose, because depending on what Ronda Rousey. Coming out with that statement about how she felt suicidal, and then she wanted to have Travis Brown's babies. I didn't know which one I was more worried about out of the two, but the suicide comment. Obviously, there's the history with her father, and then it makes me worried. I don't think she should be allowed to compete again coming out of a statement like that. But what I worry about is if you're in the UFC, you don't will they look at it like that, or will they just look at Ronda Rousey as a cash cow? She's a money maker. They know when they get it back, they'll make money. That's my opinion. I don't think they should let her go back in. It's a tricky one, man. This is a weird one because Ronda Rousey saying what was going on in the heat of the moment after that fight is a lot to unpack because, just starting with the basic fact that she's possibly concussed after, taking that blow. Yeah. She's realizing it's dawning on her, she gets out of the spotlight, which I'm sure she was trying to put up whatever kind of front she could as she walked away. She gets back there and, a fleeting thought of something drastic, but something that would maybe like in her, in a moment like that, say, well, an immediacy to, solving everything would be this. I mean, it's kind of a crazy, drastic statement, but I suppose it takes on crazier meaning when you've given her sort of where she come from with her father and sort of all that knowledge and, being vocal about it, I guess, enough where people know that story. So I do feel like it's concerning, but what really stands out to me is I really believe that fight really had a huge emotional toll for her when she lost it to begin with. I know a lot of people on Twitter were like, "Oh, well, it's just a loss. It's just a loss." I was like, it wasn't just a loss for her. It was like who she was at the moment going into that fight, who the UFC was presenting her as, how she became a global, almost transcendent icon across, certainly in America. I'm guessing pretty much wherever anybody who follows fighting, she was as big as she was. And I truly believe she was trying to embody all of those things in that, and being that sort of icon, being that sort of special athlete. With Joe Rogan saying things like, this is a once in a lifetime athlete, those types of things. And really, I thought that she was one of those rare examples of being so far ahead of her time that she would do nothing but live up to that hype throughout her career until she walked away. and it's a lot to lose in a sudden thing like that, in a very humiliating way to lose, especially given her attitude towards everything. I think that she had sort of looked at Holly Holm as a foregone conclusion, that it was something that was going to happen, that she was going to take some time off, do some movies, all this stuff, and it just changed the narratives on everything. But, you know, because it maybe never occurred to her that that was going to happen, it's not as crazy to think like that a thought like that may dance through your head in that moment of realization, you know what I mean? And I feel like sort of that's what's going on one level. The second level, though, is the fact that she kind of talked about it on an Ellen DeGeneres show, like kind of which she knows is going to travel to everybody's ears.
Yes.
So the fact that she admitted it maybe could be construed as, hey, I'm not 100%, right to, and you'd have to consider that. You'd have to say, like, hey, does she belong in here? Does she have the emotional stability to do this anymore? You know, should she be doing this if it really could be that extreme for her? Especially if she has to fight at Holly Holm again, where I really believe that result could happen again. So I mean, there's a lot going on in that situation. I feel like the UFC is going to have to maybe enter some new space here in how they handle this one, because that's one of their biggest stars, if not their biggest star, and now they have to sort of really gauge a lot of different levels on this.
Yeah, I feel the same way about if the matchup happened again. I think it would probably go Holly's way. I think the Faraz Zahabi breakdown of it was absolutely amazing. I watched the bout, and then when you saw some of the things he pointed out, you kind of sit there and go, I don't see Ronda beating her again, because it looks like Winklejohn and Jackson, they've literally sat there, broke down Ronda, and they know how to stop her. And I just feel like Holly will do it time and time again. And I do think that the UFC should get a psychologist to speak to her, because they should have an independent psychologist to speak to her, just to make sure her mindset is in the right place, because you can't put her in again, like you say. If that happens again, it sounds terrible, do you want that on your mind after if she was to lose again? Would you want to sit there if you're Dana White going, yeah, we need to get someone to make sure they're with her for a long, keeping an eye on her?
She's that kind of competitor, and I do feel like it's going to require some special attention. I mean, she's going to have to make some pretty strong assurances. That won't be the case. And maybe, the truth is, because it was like a fleeting moment, and maybe we're running with headlines here, and, who knows. But at the same time, it's a serious enough thing, and I think she's that kind of competitor. And if her whole identity, I mean, basically what she was saying is, hey, my whole identity is this. If I'm not this, then I'm nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, you got to believe she still thinks that's going to be her again. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a bigger finality the second time through. A lot of people want to they want to believe, they want to think of it from the UFC side. Hey, don't risk Ronda Rousey to another loss to Holly Holm, and then you put her in this purgatory where she can't fight, for a belt until Holly loses again. That's really secondary to the real point, which is, if Ronda Rousey loses that fight, she may be. She might already be shattered. She might be shattered to the point where she'll never be the same fighter again already. But I certainly think that there's a big possibility of that, given her, her psychological makeup and everything, if she loses that second fight. So there's a lot of stakes, a lot of emotional stakes, a lot of sort of dire stakes in a lot of ways, because that fight, it goes just beyond sporting. It goes into some other realm. That's a little more human than that.
Yeah, and I think exactly that's when we got to start thinking as people about, not thinking about money, numbers, viewing figures. That's when we need to be more human when it comes to that. And I don't think there's anything wrong either with Ronda just being honest and just going. And it's not like she's short of £1 or $1 or $2. She can go and sit on the beach and paint her body and go in a magazine, and there you go, and that's her sorted. Then it's not like she's hasn't got something outside of the sport now.
100%. And I mean, the reason she's got all that is because she was a great fighter who did all this. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for her. It's one of those things that I don't truly think she believes she's an actress. I don't think she thinks that she was meant for Hollywood. I think she's just cashing in on all the, the sort of fringe benefits that came from her being great in the octagon, and I'm like, so it'd be interesting to see, can she be contented with just living that life as a competitor? And, hopefully she can. I mean, that's the part of the reward for her doing what she's done, and sort of being that gateway for so many other, young girls and everything to come into the sport. I feel like that's her reward, and I hope she sees it that way.
Yeah, kind of like Randy Couture going off and do the filming afterwards and all this stuff. Go and do it. You've earned your stripes. Now go off and enjoy the benefits of your career, and it's something that you should do. Look, I'm going to touch on something that's a bit random, I know, but like I said to you, UFC Fight Pass, they keep ticking on these kind of promotions that they sign up. They got Brazil, they're touching in Russia, they're touching a lot of regional shows in the States. I love Fight Pass personally. I love it. I've had it for a long time, and I push it quite often to people on the podcast to buy it, and it's worth investing in. For me, it feels like Fight Pass is now, I know it's UFC Fight Pass, but it's almost like it's turned into an MMA channel in itself, and all these purchases, it's like they're taking the market away as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on with Fight Pass. I mean, we kind of touched on this on the MMA Beat that you were mentioning earlier. We've sort of hit on it, and tactically what they might be thinking throughout the beginning. What are they going to do? What kinds of fights are they going to do? It's funny because you see a big fight like what's coming up in London between Anderson Silva and Michael Bisping. You think that could be, easily headlining a Fox card.
Yeah.
It certainly could be headlining a Fox Sports 1 card here in America, and I'm not sure how that translates for all you guys over there, but these are the types of fights that I'm not sure I thought that you'd see these kinds of fights on Fight Pass. I feel like there's a little bit of a migration that way where they're putting some of these bigger fights over there on that platform. And you wonder how much that's sort of rankling Fox executives and things like that. Like, hey, whoa, what are we doing here? I mean, like, why are you guys doing this? But then again, you're like, this is the UFC sort of protecting itself. They're their own entity ultimately. I mean, they're the reason there is a MMA at this level. So I feel like it's the UFC sort of protecting themselves, building their brand in the best way possible, and that is obviously their one big outlet that they've got rolling now. And I love it. I use it, obviously, as a writer. I use it for a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's so many times you can go back on there and just go through their archives to find old fights and, review old fights, kind of look at propensities of guys who are getting ready to fight. I love that aspect of it, but I dig... I kind of think that they're kind of building these cards in a special way now, too, where they're starting to take on a certain color, you know what I mean, with what they're looking for into booking these, not just the regional guys now.
Yeah.
Although there's plenty of those, it's not just the regional guys they're stuffing on there and giving them a chance. They're actually being creative in how they put these fight cards together. So far I've been enjoying it, and I think they're getting better. I think they're starting to take on an identity. And I love that everything is housed under one roof. Like you were saying, it's like an MMA channel.
Yeah, and I think that they're also, like you said, they're putting a Bisping and Anderson fight on Fight Pass, because their deal with Fox is coming up, in a couple of years. But the thing is, the negotiations start now. People don't know that, but TV negotiation deals, they don't start literally when the contract's up. They start well before then. And maybe they are protecting themselves by putting on a couple of bigger fights on the Fight Pass, because they might need to, in the meantime, rely on Fight Pass subscription. Because if you look at Netflix is all streaming.
Right.
It's all becoming a streaming kind of lifestyle. Absolutely. People, it will be gone will be the days when you use a cable or a box to watch your stuff. It's all going to be streaming, and maybe the UFC are realizing that.
100%. They've always been out in front of certain technological trends, and I mean, this is certainly one of them. This is a big one, obviously. I feel like they really understand where they need to be putting emphasis. I mean, they were way out in front of the social media, kind of using social media way ahead of other sports. I mean, they were just all over social media, and they still are in terms of Twitter and all that stuff. They sort of commandeered it early and made it their own, and I feel like that's you're just seeing it's very savvy stuff what they do. And it's business, and these guys that's what they are first and foremost, and they're going to do what's best for their business. And right now, Fight Pass, they're putting a lot of those eggs in that basket, and for good reason, because like I said, this is their product. This is what they control, and this is what the future is. And I feel like that's sort of, it all goes into their thinking, and I think they're sort of ramping that up and we're definitely seeing it. I think we'll see more big fights this year. they've certainly filled out a good, the guys who are all sort of running it and heading up Fight Pass, I feel like they've got their heads on straight. So I feel like it's all very strategic, and we're going to see this type of fight like Silva and Anderson Silva. We're going to see more of those this year. And
if I'm honest, I look forward to it. Look, Chuck, I know you got a bit of limited time with me, and it's fine. What I'm going to do, sir, is say thank you so much for coming on and giving me some of your time to talk. It's been an absolute pleasure. Before I let you go, can you let everyone at home know how they can follow you on social media and stuff? You know, to look at your articles that you write and the bits that you do?
Sure. You know, I get a lot of hell because I'm not on Facebook, but the best way to find me is just on Twitter, and it's just at Chuck Mindenhall, my name. So, yeah, man, I try to keep it real light and irreverent on there. So if you want to have a funny follow, that's where to find me.
Yeah, definitely follow. I do, obviously. But look, give him a follow. Read his stuff if you don't already. And obviously he does the MMA Beat, which you can watch on YouTube. I believe it goes out on SoundCloud. It probably goes on iPlayer. I don't have Apple, but I'm sure it goes on there as well. You can all find it, ladies and gentlemen. Just put it on Google. It's not rocket science. Google makes stupid people smart nowadays. So just use Google. You know, it helps me as well. Like I said, Chuck.
Every Thursday. Well, almost every Thursday.
Almost. Hang on a minute. Thursday. Yeah, I was going to say, look, you guys have let me down some Thursdays, so don't put it.
I think we're going to fix that in 2016. I think you're going to see it about every Thursday. I think is the goal.
I think what you should have is a TV screen if you actually can't physically get there, and have like a Skype video of you guys up there. I think that's what you should do if you can't physically get to the studio.
It might be coming. I mean, I feel like the show's gotten popular enough, I think, where we could probably get by with those sort of variations. We started doing it on the road a little bit more, so as long as we're able to do those things, I think it'll be weekly.
Oh, it's great. I love it. Honestly, I think, honestly, that it's picking up and everyone else enjoys it. And like I say, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the MMA Beat you're going to do. And again, thanks very much, Chuck, for coming on.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. A lot of fun.
And we hope you all enjoyed this week. We certainly did. We had a great time. And we just want to get you, before you go, jump on your social networking sites and give these people a follow. We have MMA Scotland. We have on Facebook UFC Wreckage. Also, their website and Twitter is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
On Facebook, we have Fighting and MMA.
And on Facebook and Twitter, we have The Real MMA Talk.
And then last but not least, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, they're funny. They talk about MMA. It's funny MMA. Jump on. They'll give you a giggle. And let's finish off with thank you very much, everyone. We will be back very soon, won't we, Mike?
Yep, definitely. Thank you very much and goodbye.